In the apocalyptic ice age, I stockpiled tens of billions worth of supplies. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 1. After the end of the world, I was reborn. It hurts too much? Unforgettable pain permeated Zhang Yi's whole body. This is not a feeling, but a reality that actually happened to him. At this time, he is being greedily divided by the friends and neighbors he once trusted and helped. In this end of the world when supplies are scarce, they even ignored Zhang Yi's help to them and swung their butcher knives at him. When he was dying, he vaguely saw Fang Yuqing, the goddess in his heart, standing behind the crowd, with a pitiful look, and shouted forcefully, "I asked him to open the door, you have to leave me a spare rib to make soup." It was this woman who tricked Zhang Yi into opening the door and killed him. Zhang Yi looked at her with hatred and remorse in his eyes. If you want to blame, you can only blame yourself for being too stupid and kind, so that you will be reduced to other people's rations in this last world. How he wished everything could start all over again. At that time, he will no longer be merciful to anyone, and will only live for himself. Zhang Yi soon went dark and lost consciousness. However, at the next moment, he opened his eyes suddenly and sat up from the sofa. The hell scene I experienced just now, the terrible pain is vivid in my mind. Zhang Yi panted heavily, and his whole body was soon soaked in sweat. What's going on? Did I get killed by those animal neighbors? After regaining his senses, Zhang Yi began to look at everything around him. This place is no stranger to him, it is his own house. The comfortable temperature in the air made him feel very surprised. Because in December 2050 in the Western calendar, Blue Star was affected by a supernova explosion 12 light-years away, ushering in a global Cambrian storm. The global temperature plummeted, and the daily temperature in Shanghai City, where Zhang Yi lived, was, 2, degrees below zero. The blizzard lasted for a month, flooding the entire city. It is said that in the north of China, it even reached a terrifying -100 degrees, and the whole earth was buried in ice and snow. All kinds of living things became extinct on a large scale, and even human beings died in this disaster. More than, % of them died. Zhang Yi stood up, took out a bottle of water from the refrigerator, and drank most of the bottle with a gudu. Although the temperature of the refrigerated water is very low, but to him now, this kind of water is simply a fine liquid. In the last days, the only way for people to obtain water was to go out and brave the extremely low temperature of degrees to dig snow to melt it into water. Such an operation can easily cause people to freeze to death. After Zhang Yi finished drinking the water, he turned on his mobile phone and took a look. It shows the time November 11th. There is still a full month until the end of the day. It looks like I've been reborn. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and soon understood what happened. The experience of that month couldn't have been a dream, especially the pain of being broken down by others. It was too real. Zhang Yi raised his head, feeling extremely fortunate in his heart after the catastrophe and the rest of his life. At the same time, an incomparably sharp light flashed across his eyes. He remembered clearly those who killed him back then. In this life, he must live a good life, and will not show kindness to those beasts again. But the next moment, Zhang Yi began to think about how to prepare for the end times. His parents passed away early, and he inherited a house in Shanghai City, which was 120 square meters. There are also more than 200 million deposits in hand, which seems relatively ample in the usual way. But when the end of the world is coming, there will be a big shortage of supplies all over the world. With this little money in his hand, it won't last long at all. After all, to survive alone, what is needed is a huge amount of supplies. Zhang Yi not only wants to live, but also must have a certain quality of life. Diet and entertainment have to be taken into consideration, otherwise, the spirit will be broken after a long time. At this moment, a ray of white light suddenly appeared in front of Zhang Yi's eyes. He felt that his eyes were dazzled, so he reached out and rubbed them. At this moment, a strange idea suddenly popped up in his brain. It seemed that this ray of white light itself was a part of him, and the information of the white light also appeared in his mind. With a thought in Zhang Yi's mind, His consciousness instantly entered the white light. As a result, I went in and took a look, and found that this place turned out to be a huge white space. The area inside does not know how big it is, there is only a large blank space. This is a different space? It seems that after my rebirth, I have some special abilities. Zhang Yi's heart was suddenly happy. It seems that the passage of gamma rays gave him special abilities. With this huge space, it is much more convenient for him to store supplies for the doomsday. However, Zhang Yi wants to know how many things can be stored in this space, and whether there is any limit to the objects that can be collected. His consciousness immediately returned to his room, and then began to try to put the things in the house into the space. At the beginning, it started with teacups and wash basins, and they were easily put in. Zhang Yi began to try to stuff all the big appliances inside. Color TV, refrigerator, washing machine, computer, air conditioner, vacuum cleaner. The white space does not reject anyone, and takes all these things in. Moreover, as long as Zhang Yi has a thought, he can take things out of the space. Zhang Yi was overjoyed. With this huge space, I can store a huge amount of resources. He licked his lips, a bold plan in his mind. Zhang Yi works as a supervisor of the warehouse in South China of Walmart supermarket. As the world's largest supermarket, Walmart has everything you need. It has 3 huge warehouses in Central China, South China and North China. The standing materials in these 3 warehouses can supply the consumption of tens of millions of people in several cities for a week. In other words, as long as Zhang Yi empties out all the materials in a warehouse and transports them to his own space, then let alone a lifetime, even in 10 lifetimes he would not be able to use up so many supplies. The most important thing is that there are no low-end goods in Walmart's warehouse, whether it is food, department stores or luxury goods, they are all big names. The quality is very guaranteed. If Zhang Yi can empty out a warehouse in Walmart, no matter whether it is the end or what, he can live happier than a god. As the supervisor of the warehouse, Zhang Yi is very familiar with every shelf, monitoring equipment and personnel scheduling in the warehouse. It is definitely not difficult for him to evacuate the warehouse. After making up his mind, Zhang Yi felt a lot more relaxed. Cuckoo, at this moment, Zhang Yi's stomach let out a cry of protest. Zhang Yi rubbed his stomach, then glanced at the takeaways he bought on the table. Without hesitation, he picked up the takeaway and threw it into the trash can. It's the end of the day in 1 month. You have to eat a lot of delicious food quickly, or you won't have a chance in the future. Why keep money? After the end of the world, the money will become waste paper, so it is better to spend it all now, so as not to waste it. Zhang Yi turned around gracefully, ready to find a Michelin 3-star restaurant and have a good meal. Chapter 2 White Lotus. Zhang Yi walked out of the house, and there was a peaceful scene outside, full of joy and comfort in the world. Many parents took their children to play in the square of the community, with happy smiles on their faces. But Zhang Yi knew that in another month, all this would come to naught. He walked out of the community quickly, and there was a Michelin 3-star Western restaurant not far from the community. It costs at least 5,000 or 6,000 to eat a meal. In the past, Zhang Yi was reluctant to eat. But now he doesn't care. After entering the restaurant, Zhang Yi found a seat by the window, then ordered all the most expensive dishes above, and ordered another bottle of red wine from Chateau Lafayette. After the set, 5 yuan was spent. Even the waiters in the restaurant looked at Zhang Yi with ambiguous eyes, thinking that he must be a rich second generation. Otherwise, how can ordinary people eat such expensive things for a meal? Zhang Yi doesn't care what others think. When a table of delicious food is served, he starts to stuff it into his stomach. Perhaps it was because he had experienced 6 months of the icy apocalypse, and he was so moved that he almost shed tears when he ate this delicious food. Therefore, his eating behavior became a little fierce, which caused a lot of discussion among the diners around him. Zhang Yi didn't care about them. You know, after the apocalypse, people can even kneel down and kowtow for a pack of instant noodles. At that time, all civilization and morality will come to naught. While Zhang Yi was eating in the restaurant, a woman passing by outside the window stopped. It was a woman with long fluttering hair, exquisite makeup, and Gucci high heels. It was Fang Yuqing, who killed Zhang Yi in her previous life. And next to her was her best friend Li Kaining. When 2 people pass by a Michelin 3-star restaurant, they can't help but take a second look. For this kind of high luxury place, the 2 have always longed for it in their hearts. But the funds in their hands do not allow them to squander in this kind of place. But this did not prevent them from looking inside with patrolling eyes. Maybe they will be able to find that high-quality rich second generation, so that they can catch a winner. In the end, Fang Yuqing was surprised to find that Zhang Yi was inside, with a large table of top-quality food in front of him. Isn't that Zhang Yi? How could he have money to eat here? Fang Yuqing said in surprise. Lin Keining also covered her mouth in surprise. Zhang Yi, is he so rich? When she was talking, she gave Fang Yuqing an ambiguous look, and then said with a smile, Yuqing, you are so lucky. The dog who chased you turned out to be an invisible rich second generation. Look at his table, it costs at least, 2, yuan. How can ordinary people eat such expensive things for a meal? There was some envy in Lin Keining's tone, because she knew that Zhang Yi had been pursuing Fang Yuqing for half a year. However, Fang Yuqing has been hanging on Zhang Yi all the time, and she didn't refuse, but she didn't agree either. Fang Yuqing is a full-fledged gold digger. She always thought that she could marry a high-quality rich second generation and be a young mistress. But for Zhang Yi, a bourgeois with a car and a house in Xianhe City, she couldn't bear to give up. Therefore, Fang Yuqing has always regarded Zhang Yi as a backup tire. However, Fang Yuqing couldn't help but start to have doubts when Zhang Yi was able to enjoy tens of thousands of luxurious meals alone today. Could it be that Zhang Yi is actually an invisible rich second generation? Fang Yuqing rested her chin and began to think. The more she thought about it, the more she realized it was a possibility. By the way, don't there often be such people in TV dramas? Obviously I am rich, but in order to find true love, I pretend that I am just an ordinary person. She believed what Fang Yuqing said, and her eyes lit up. If it was true, I would have saved a lot of effort. After all, Zhang Yi has been pursuing her all the time, and she feels that as long as she nods, Zhang Yi will propose to her immediately. Lin Keining also persuaded, Yuqing, let's go in and find Zhang Yi. In fact, she was staring at the delicious table. This is a Michelin 3-star restaurant, and ordinary people will never have the chance to taste the feast in it. Fang Yuqing hesitated for a moment, but shook her head and said, this is not good. It is easy for him to think that I am a money-worshipping woman. Well, let's wait outside and pretend that we met him by chance. Fang Yuqing is not a fool. She will not lower her posture just for a meal. Even if Zhang Yi is really rich, she still has to act like a goddess. Only then, when the two of them are together in the future, can she control Zhang Yi well and let him continue to be her licking dog. So the two hid not far from the restaurant, waiting for Zhang Yi to come out. Zhang Yi ate for more than an hour, and touched his round belly happily. Next, he plans to go to a nearby supermarket to buy some supplies and go back. Although he has great confidence in transporting supplies from the Walmart warehouse, he must be careful when driving for thousands of years. It is better to prepare some supplies in advance to avoid any accidents. After all, he is a person who has suffered from hunger and cannot allow any accidents to happen. Zhang Yi checked out happily, and walked out of the restaurant with the waiter's friendly smile. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded beside him. Zhang Yi, what a coincidence. Zhang Yi turned his head and saw that it was Fang Yuqing and Lin Keining. Fang Yuqing reached out and pulled her hair behind her ears, deliberately revealing her fair neck and pink earlobes. Zhang Yi sneered in his heart, such a routine is a classic green tea trick. What you want is to make a man's heart beat inadvertently. Fang Yuqing, the top green tea plus white lotus, is naturally well versed in this. It's a pity that today's Zhang Yi is no longer the simple licking dog he used to be. After all, not long ago, he was killed by this woman, and she even broke his ribs to make soup. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi's gaze suddenly became a little cold. It was a naked killing intent. Anyway, it will be the end of the world soon. Even if she is killed, there will be no problem. Fang Yuqing felt chills all over her body when Zhang Yi looked at her, and said nervously, Zhang Yi, what's the matter with you? Zhang Yi quickly restrained his gaze, and said lightly, it's nothing, I recognized the wrong person. He suddenly changed his mind. It was too cheap for this woman to die like this. It's better to let her experience the despair of the doomsday, and then use tricks to kill her. With mental calculations but no intentions, Zhang Yi has enough time to prepare, and with the memory of her rebirth. There are 100 ways for her to die in pain. So now, there is no need to deal with her. The most important thing now is to build the safest shelter so that you can survive safely and comfortably in the last days. Chapter 3 Shopping Spree. Zhang Yi Fang Yuqing's attitude is very cold. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning also sensed something was wrong. However, after mistakenly thinking that Zhang Yi was an invisible rich second generation, instead of being angry because of Zhang Yi's attitude, the two of them took the initiative to come together. "Hey, Zhang Yi, did you eat at this restaurant just now?" Lin Caning pretended to be careless and said. Zhang Yi frowned slightly. This woman is not a good person. She is the same as Fang Yuqing. She also had a share of cheating her own food and killing herself. "Ah." Zhang Yi replied coldly, then put his hands in his pockets, turned around and walked towards the supermarket. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning hurriedly followed. "Zhang Yi, where are you going?" Fang Yuqing asked with a gentle smile. "Go to the supermarket." Zhang Yi's voice was still cold, with a bit of impatience. If he didn't want her to experience the despair of the last days, Zhang Yi would have killed her. Fang Yuqing gave Lin Caning a wink, and quickly said, "It's such a coincidence, we also plan to go shopping. It just happens to be on the way." Zhang Yi had already understood at this time. It must be that they saw themselves having a bin meal at a Michelin 3-star restaurant, so they mistakenly thought that they were some invisible rich second generation. "That's why I suddenly became so enthusiastic about myself." He didn't bother to say anything to them, so he went straight to the supermarket. But the more he behaved, the more Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning thought he was a rich second generation. "Otherwise, why are you so arrogant?" The two followed Zhang Yi, and Fang Yuqing even stayed next to Zhang Yi, sometimes deliberately reaching out to touch him. When Zhang Yi looked at her, she made a shy look and turned her head away again, blushing as if she was very shy. Zhang Yi sneered in his heart. "Green tea hauer, you can really act. If you act in a movie, you will definitely win an Oscar." Zhang Yi entered the supermarket, pushed a trolley and walked in. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning hurriedly followed with their carts. "Zhang Yi, are you having dinner with someone?" Fang Yuqing asked with a smile. Zhang Yi walked towards the food area and said coldly, "Can I eat it myself?" Fang Yuqing's eyes lit up, and she quickly said, "That's not what I mean. It's just that the things there are quite expensive. I thought you were inviting someone to dinner." Lin Caning couldn't help asking, "Zhang Yi, your salary is only over one a month, right? This meal will eat up half a year's salary. It seems that there is a lot of money left for you and your family." Fang Yuqing quickly gave Lin Caning a hard look. "Idiot, how can you ask such words casually? As a top-grade green tea, the most important rule is, talk about feelings with the rich, and talk about money with the poor." Lin Caning realized that she had said something wrong, and hurriedly made up for it. "Ha, I was just joking. In fact, we are all good friends. It really doesn't matter if you have money or not." But Zhang Yi didn't pay attention to them at all. He came to the food section and looked at the dazzling array of products on the shelves, as if he had entered a treasure house. In his previous life, he experienced a feeling of eating a pack of instant noodles for 2 days. So for food, there is an infinite desire in his heart. Zhang Yi went directly to the shelf and put the food on it into the trolley. He purchased large quantities of ham sausage, instant noodles, self-heating hot pot and seasonings. Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning were dumbfounded by this move. "Zhang Yi, why do you buy so much food? Are you going camping?" Zhang Yi replied lightly. However, Lin Caning became suspicious, and secretly whispered into Fang Yuqing's ear, "Would the rich second generation eat these while camping?" Fang Yuqing was also a little puzzled, but thinking of the Michelin 3-star meal, she was unwilling to give up the idea that Zhang Yi was the rich second generation. She ran to Zhang Yi and said attentively, "Is there anything I can do for you?" With free labor coming to the door, Zhang Yi has no reason not to use it. And looking at Fang Yuqing and her pretendingly innocent smiling face, Zhang Yi also had a thought of revenge in his heart. He just wanted to let Fang Yuqing know that he had stockpiled a lot of supplies. Then when the end of the world comes, when she comes to pray for herself, she will reject her severely. The corner of Zhang Yi's mouth curled up. "Then help me push the cart." Fang Yuqing quickly nodded in agreement. Zhang Yi asked Lin Caning to push a cart back. Although the hearts of the two were full of doubts, they still did as they were told. Zhang Yi bought a lot of food that can be stored, including instant noodles, ham sausage, some bacon and canned food. He also used a cart to store fresh meat, fruits and vegetables and some live fish. He wanted to test whether his different space had any special effect on storing fresh food. The 3 trolleys were full, and Zhang Yi handed over the carts full of beef, mutton and canned food to the 2 women to push them. It must weigh at least 400 to 500 caddies, which made them sweat profusely from exhaustion. Fang Yuqing complained a little, pouted and said, "Zhang Yi, how many people eat so many things? Did you have any activities and didn't tell me?" Zhang Yi sneered, and said, "The end of the world is coming soon, I'll stock up more things to live on." Fang Yuqing only thought that Zhang Yi was joking, and said with a smile, "Oh, it's fine if you don't want to say it. Why are you making such a joke? It's just that I helped you so much today, you can treat me to dinner later." Fang Yuqing's eyes were full of hints. She was looking forward to Zhang Yi taking her to a Michelin 3-star restaurant for dinner. The corners of Zhang Yi's mouth twitched slightly. "Well, okay. But I'm busy recently, so I don't have much time. Next month." Fang Yuqing said happily, "That's good, let's make a deal." Lin Canning hurried over. Okay, let's go together, he. Of course she was very happy to be able to eat a big meal just by helping to push a cart. Seeing Lin Canning so blind, Fang Yuqing glared at her again. But Lin Canning just pretended not to see it. Zhang Yi went to settle the bill and bought more than one supplies in one purchase. He paid the bill without batting an eye. You know, in the last days, the value of these materials must be multiplied by at least tens of thousands of times. Since Zhang Yi bought a lot of things, the supermarket happily lent him the trolley. Zhang Yi unceremoniously ordered the two women to help him push things home. In fact, he has his own car, so he can drive to bring things back. But there is free labor, so there is no need for it. Although the two women kept shouting that they were tired, but after Zhang Yi promised to treat them to a big meal, they immediately became motivated. So, a group of 3 people pushed 3 big carts of supplies, and pushed them back to the community under the surprised eyes of passers-by. Chapter 4 5-star hotel orders 500 banquets. The 3 of Zhang Yi returned to the community with 3 carts of supplies. Along the way, many neighbors saw this scene and couldn't help discussing it. Zhang Yi is not afraid of being seen. After all, when he was shopping in the supermarket, some neighbors had already seen him. And Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning will definitely spread the matter in the future. There is no sense in hiding. He even expected that at the end of the day, many people would try to rush into his house to grab things. All of this, he has actually experienced. But he is not afraid yet, because in this life, he will prepare in advance. It is to let those people see it, but they can't eat it. In the end, they can only be angry. Zhang Yi and Fang Yuqing live in an apartment building. Because Zhang Yi works as a warehouse manager at Walmart, neighbors often ask him to help buy discounted items. So everyone knows Zhang Yi. Seeing Zhang Yi and the 3 of them came back after buying so many things, an aunt who took her grandson out to play came over. She looked at the food in the cart, as well as the fresh beef and mutton, and suddenly felt a little moved. "Xiao Zhang, why did you bring so many things back? Are they processed in the warehouse? You can't use up so much, why don't you share some with your neighbors?" This is Aunt Lin, who works in the property committee. Relying on her power in the community, she often gives pointers to her neighbors and regards herself as a leader. In the past, Zhang Yi often asked Zhang Yi to help her buy cheap discounted goods, and his personality was extremely fond of taking advantage of small advantages. And in her previous life, she also begged for some food from Zhang Yi by messing around. But when all the neighbors rushed to Zhang Yi's house to rob, instead of stopping her, she acted more vigorously than young people. Fang Yuqing and Lin Canning didn't want to provoke this woman either, so they quickly said, "Zhang Yi bought these things, we just sent them back for him." Aunt Lin's eyes immediately looked at Zhang Yi, and said with a smile, "Xiao Zhang, it seems to be something from your warehouse. How about giving some to Aunt Lin?" While she was speaking, her grandson, Xiao, had already climbed onto a trolley, reaching out and pulling out a box of chocolates. Don't look at him as small, but his eyes are very vicious. That box of imported chocolates sells for more than 200 in supermarkets. Without saying a word, Zhang Yi snatched the things back with his hands. Then he said coldly to Aunt Lin, "I'm sorry, I'll keep these things for myself. Anyway, it's the end soon, and he doesn't even bother to be polite now." Aunt Lin's complexion suddenly changed. It made her very angry that Zhang Yi didn't give her the community leader face. Especially her grandson, Xiao, who was crying for chocolate after being pulled away by Zhang Yipao. The child is not sensible, or you can give him a box of chocolates. I bought it, and I will give you the money later. Aunt Lin said in a deep voice. Zhang Yi's mouth twitched. Now it's all about mobile payment, and payment is extremely convenient. She said that she would give the money back, obviously because she wanted to renege on the debt. I said, I ate this myself. If you want to eat it, go to the supermarket and buy it yourself. Zhang Yi sneered, then greeted Fang Yuqing and Lin Kaining and left. As soon as they left, Aunt Lin yelled loudly from behind. Zhang Yi turned a deaf ear. Aunt Lin's son and daughter-in-law are working outside, and she is the only one who takes care of her grandson at home. On weekdays, the old woman only buys vegetables for one day. So after the end of the day, their family's supplies were the first to run out. At the beginning, Zhang Yi helped them softly, but without Zhang Yi's help in this life, it is a miracle that this immoral old woman and her naughty grandson, Xiao, can live for 10 days. Zhang Yi didn't want to make trouble with the corpse. It's not that he is cruel, but after that day, it will be very difficult for everyone to take care of themselves. The life and death of other people must naturally be behind him. After pushing the 3 carts of supplies home, Zhang Yi let them go. Zhang Yi, don't forget to invite guests. Fang Yuqing winked playfully at Zhang Yi. But after Zhang Yi saw it, he only felt a nausea in his heart. He was perfunctory. The 2 women originally planned to stay, looking for clues that Zhang Yi was an invisible rich second generation. But seeing Zhang Yi's look of not interested in entertaining them, the 2 had no choice but to leave first. After they left, Zhang Yi opened his own different space, and then put everything in it. Prepare to observe whether these materials will change in space. After finishing this, it was already very late. Zhang Yi did not rush to rest, but took out a pen and paper, and planned in detail the preparations for the next month. Although he is very lazy on weekdays, in order to live, people can always burst out enough potential. If you want to live comfortably in the apocalypse, you must first solve the food problem, which is easy to solve. Except for my daily purchases, everything else can be taken from the warehouse. But don't worry about this, and do your research first. And you have to collect it a few days before the end to avoid attracting the attention of others. If you are arrested, you will definitely not survive a few days in the prison. Zhang Yi wrote down the word food in his notebook and put a check mark behind it. And then heating. After the apocalypse, the energy supply is extremely scarce, and the air conditioner will soon be useless. Then, the simplest method must be used. The fireplace is the first choice. The principle of the fireplace is similar to that of the heated kang, both of which adopt primitive methods for heating. The temperature in winter in Europe is particularly low, and this method is used to survive the long winter. Then the house will have to be redone, ideally with insulation. Speaking of decoration, Zhang Yi couldn't help feeling tense when he thought of his home being broken into in his previous life. I still need to make my home an impenetrable steel fortress. The first is to pretend to be a thick steel plate, at least it must be able to withstand ordinary blasting. After the end of the world, people can do anything in order to survive, and they must be fully prepared. You can't joke about life safety. Zhang Yi has already tasted the taste of death once, and he is absolutely unwilling to experience it again. The problem of the safe house is also easy to solve. There is a security company in Shanghai City that specializes in security work for the powerful. Among them is the service of building safe rooms. Zhang Yi remembered that in his previous life, there was a top rich man who once built a super fortress that could even withstand the attacks of small H weapons. And then, medicine. I have to keep myself from getting sick beyond cure. There are many commonly used medicines in Walmart's warehouse, which can treat minor illnesses such as colds and fevers. But these are not enough. The Cambrian storm will last for at least several decades, and I have to be fully prepared. Fortunately, Zhang Yi's contacts in Shanghai City are relatively good. After all, he is in warehouse management, and he also knows some hospital warehouse staff. As long as enough money can be given, no matter what kind of medicine can be obtained. After these problems were solved, Zhang Yi tapped on the notebook with a ballpoint pen in his hand. Next, there is one last problem to be solved. His gaze sharpened. That's a weapon. The end is coming, humanity is lost, and battles for supplies can be seen everywhere. Human life is worthless. If you want to live, you must have enough force. Zhang Yi is not a master of fighting, but no matter how advanced his martial arts is, he is afraid of kitchen knives. As long as the weapons you prepare are strong enough, you don't have to worry about this kind of problem. Machetes, crowbars, and machetes are easy to come by. There are also channels for crossbows, air guns and compound bows. But the most powerful one, of course, is the American Io. This thing can only be obtained through the black market. Zhang Yi rubbed his chin. There is no way to solve this problem yet. But he still has a month. As long as he is willing to spend money, there should be a way to get it done. It took him 3 hours to formulate a perfect plan, and then he took a hot bath happily, and then lay down on his comfortable bed and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Zhang Yi got up from the bed. He didn't sleep well that night, and woke up several times because of nightmares. After waking up, I was relieved to find that I was still lying on the big warm and comfortable bed at home. The doomsday period had taken a toll on his psyche. In order to avoid repeating the same mistakes, Zhang Yi has strengthened his determination and must be fully prepared. After Zhang Yi woke up, he made breakfast for himself. Then opened the different space and checked the changes of the materials thrown into it. To his delight, the meat, fruits, and vegetables left overnight did not change at all. Meat can't be seen for a short time, but fruits and vegetables tend to be stale after overnight. However, after being placed in a different space, those fruits and vegetables are the same as when they were bought yesterday. My different space is independent of this world. Maybe the rules of time change are also different. It is possible that the flow of time is slower, or even static. This is great news. In this way, I can put all kinds of things in it without any scruples. However, when Zhang Yi checked the few fish put in, he found that they were all dead. After death, it was lifelike, and it did not deteriorate. Zhang Yi stroked his chin and understood some rules of using different spaces. Live creatures cannot survive for a long time in it. It seems that the idea of living in it by myself is not realistic. This is not a big problem. The space in the different space is vast and wide, which is not as comfortable as Zhang Yi's own home. As long as you can put things in it. Thinking about it this way, there are many things in Zhang Yi's mind. Since fresh meat, vegetables, and fruits can be preserved, what about prepared meals? Although Zhang Yi can cook by himself, he is far behind a professional chef after all. In the future, he can only cook on his own, and he will get tired of it sooner or later. So, Zhang Yi immediately called the largest 5-star hotel in Xianhe City. "Hello, this is Hongfu Xiangsha Hotel. May I help you?" Zhang Yi immediately said, "I want to invite guests to my house, and hold a banquet for 3 days and 3 nights. So I need to book 500 tables of meals." The other end of the phone was also taken aback. 500 tables of meals, even they have to cook for a long time. Moreover, they are 5-star hotels, and the cheapest one for a table of banquets costs 3 or 4,500 tables down. That's more than 100 million. The waiter didn't dare to make up his own mind, and quickly said, "Please wait a moment, I will ask our manager for instructions." After a while, another person answered the phone. "Hello sir, I am Chen Dingfang, the manager of Hongfu Hotel. I don't know how to address you." Chapter 5 Loans for Money. Zhang Yi replied, "My name is Zhang Yi. I want to book 500 tables of banquets. Do you have any questions?" The manager was shocked. This was the first time they had encountered such a thing since the hotel opened. But such a large order, if they come, they will definitely take it. "Mr. Zhang, 500 banquet tables can cost millions. If you need it, we will prepare it for you right away, but you need to make a deposit of 20 yuan in advance." Zhang Yi replied, "This is no problem, I will send you your account number later, and I will transfer the money to you." It's easy to do things when you have money, the manager agreed, and then added Zhang Yi's friend and sent him the bank account number. Zhang Yi transferred 20 without hesitation. On the manager's side, after confirming the deposit with the accountant, he immediately started instructing various departments. Hurry up, hurry up. Let's make a big order, let the purchasing department prepare the goods quickly, and the back kitchen will not accept other takeaway orders for the time being. We must make the 500 banquet tables requested by the guests within 1 day. On the other side, after Zhang Yi hung up the phone, he couldn't help sighing. Although the money will be useless in a month, you still need money to buy things now. In his hands, the inheritance left by his parents and his own savings total about 200 million. Now, half of it is gone, and to be honest, I still feel a little distressed. But on second thought, this is also a good thing. Many people hold a lot of money in their hands, which later turned into waste paper. Not everyone has the opportunity to spend their money. However, there are still many places that need money in the future. I have to find a way to make money. Zhang Yi's eyes were immediately placed on his own house. This house is located in the middle ring of Xianhe City, with an area of 120 square meters. The community was built 10 years ago. According to the current market, It costs more than 4 yuan per square meter. In other words, this house is worth at least 500 million now. Yes, I'll take out a mortgage, won't I have money? Zhang Yi giggled. He didn't have to pay back the money after borrowing it. It was indescribably comfortable. He immediately left the house and drove to the bank to make a loan. On the way, he received a message from Fang Yuqing. Zhang Yi, the weekend is so boring. I really want someone to go out with me. Zhang Yi glanced at it and threw the phone aside. He came to the bank to start a loan business. Since Zhang Yi's loan amount is large and the documents are complete, the house is also taken in full. So the loan came down quickly, but the bank only gave him a loan of 400 million. Zhang Yi didn't bargain either, since it was all free money anyway, and he didn't have the time to argue with the bank. After signing happily, the bank also transferred the money to his account. Now, I spent more than 100 million excluding the banquet, and I still have about 500 million. It should be enough to redecorate the house. However, I still need to buy a lot of medicines and weapons. The money may not be enough. Zhang Yi touched his chin and began to think about how to get more money. At this time, a yellow hair on the side of the road saw Zhang Yi, who was in deep thought. His eyes lit up, and he walked over immediately. Hey buddy, do you need money? Zhang Yi looked up at the yellow hair. Who are you? The smile on Wang Mao's face deepened. And he lowered his voice and asked, I just asked you if you need money now? But the bank won't lend it to you? As soon as Zhang Yi heard this, he understood what the person in front of him was doing. Definitely a usury. Zhang Yi's heart skipped a beat, and he made up his mind. He sighed, pretending to be embarrassed, and said, Yes, my family's business is in urgent need of cash flow. But the bank. When Zhang Yi said this, he deliberately showed an embarrassed expression. Wang Mao also looked like he understood in seconds. But anyone who can borrow money from the bank through normal channels, who would go to borrow a usury? He said to Zhang Yi, Yes, the bank is very strict about borrowing money now. There are various rules and regulations, and the speed of getting money is also slow. But brother, if you need money urgently, I can help you with that. Zhang Yi looked at Wang Mao cautiously. You? Are you really good? I need millions. When Wang Mao heard that it was a big deal, his eyes became more excited. He took out a business card from his pocket and handed it to Zhang Yi. Our company specializes in saving people from fire and water. As long as you need money, you can come to us. Zhang Yi glanced at the business card and said to a Duode Financial Services Company, Limited. And Wang Mao's name is Hu Minghua, the business manager. Zhang Yi said excitedly, Can you really lend me money? I need 500 million. As long as you can help me get through this difficulty, I guarantee that I can return the money within 3 months at most. Hu Mingho smiled and said, This matter is easy to discuss. Our company is very powerful. It is specially designed to help people like you who lack funds. Let's go to the company to discuss this matter slowly. Zhang Yi nodded with anticipation, and followed Hu Mingho to their company. The so-called company is in a remote office building. After entering the door, Hu Mingho took Zhang Yi to their boss's office. The boss of this lending company looks like a big and thick guy, but he is wearing a Ben-name Bellino suit. Clearly an effort was being made to project an image of a legitimate company. However, there was a bit of hostility between his brows. If I hadn't worked hard in society for many years, I wouldn't have this feeling. Hu Mingho introduced Zhang Yi's basic situation to the boss in front of him. Manager, this is a client who wants to borrow money from us. The boss's name was Chen Shang. After seeing Zhang Yi, he smiled and asked Zhang Yi to sit down. Mr. Zhang, how much do you want to borrow? As expected of a company engaged in usury, the content of the conversation is so simple and rude. Such a company is not formal in itself, so there are not so many rules and regulations. And they have plenty of ways to get you to pay back the money, so they don't worry about your refusal at all. Zhang Yi said, I want to borrow 500 million. Chen Shang frowned. Oh, this is not a small amount. But Mr. Zhang, as I said in advance, our interest rate is very high. You have to be mentally prepared. Hu Mingho said next to him, Mr. Zhang's business urgently needs capital turnover. When the business turnover comes, the money will not be earned very quickly. Right? The two sang together, and Zhang Yi had a panoramic view. Zhang Yi still pretended to be eager, and said, Yes, I can pay it back soon. The higher the interest rate, the higher it will be. As long as you can lend me the money. Chapter 6 Building a Top Safe House. A smile appeared on Chen Shuang's face. That's good, our interest is 4 cents. If you borrow 500 million, you have to pay back 700 million. So, you have to write me a 700 million I owe you first. Also, you have to have something of sufficient value as collateral. A house, a factory, a car, whatever. Zhang Yi pretended to hesitate for a while, then gritted his teeth and took out the real estate certificate from his body. This is what he took to the bank for a loan, and it happened to be on his body. My house is worth more than 500 million yuan, so let's mortgage it to your head office. I also have a Mercedes-Benz of 30 yuan, and you can take it away if you don't have it. It was the first time Chen Shuang saw such a happy client, so he quickly took the real estate certificate and took a look. After seeing the information about Zhang Yi's house, he felt even more satisfied. Because according to the current market price, the value of that house can be sold for at least 550 million. If you add another car, you won't lose money no matter what you do with this business. However, Chen Shuang still showed a dissatisfied look. Mr. Zhang, your house is worth 500 million at most. But if you want to take 500 million from me, I'm at a loss. Zhang Yi looked shocked, and said excitedly, Boss Chen, you must help me. I am very anxious about money now. As long as you can call me the money today, I only need 450 million. Chen Shuang and Hu Minghu looked at each other, and there was a playfulness in their eyes. What they do is take advantage of the fire to rob the business. The more other people are in a hurry to spend money, the more they will be slaughtered. No, this business is really not worthwhile. Finally, after some bargaining, the two sides reached an agreement with 400 million. However, Zhang Yi requested that the money must be transferred to his account today. Although the lending company is unscrupulous, its efficiency is really high. Probably this is the only place where they have an advantage over banks. After signing the contract, Zhang Yi soon received 400 cash in his account. He secretly laughed in his heart. To Chen Shuang, this money is like beating a dog with a meat bun, and it will never come back. Why does it feel like scolding myself? Zhang Yi smiled and left with the money. After he left, Chen Shuang and Hu Minghu laughed happily in the office. Ha ha ha. This business is really simple. That silly boy really took 400 million and left. Chen Shuang said proudly, we can earn at least 2 or 3 million yuan with this sum. You don't have to worry about this month's performance. Hu Minghu leaned on the table and said with a smile, Boss, he signed the contract so happily, is there any problem with the house? Chen Shuang held a real estate certificate in his hand, and said with a smile, this real estate certificate is real, there is no problem. As long as the house is his, he can't escape. With a real estate certificate and a 700 million yuan in hand, they will naturally have a way to get the house over. Not only that, they have more ways to completely squeeze Zhang Yi dry. Chen Shuang narrowed his eyes and took a sip of coffee gracefully. If it doesn't work, you can contact several overseas institutions to see if there are any valuable parts on him to sell. We never do business at a loss. Zhang Yi happily left a lending company. He glanced back at the office building with a hint of sarcasm at the corner of his mouth. They're all good people. Give me free money to spend. From now on, Zhang Yi, Chen Shuang and Hu Minghu will not have any intersections. Rather, there is a high probability that they will all die in the doomsday cold wave a month later. In Zhang Yi's hands, there are now about 900 million funds. It is enough to implement your own plan. Zhang Yi drove the car to the famous Zhanlong Security Company in Xianhe City. Zhanlong is one of the largest security companies in Huaguo, and it specializes in providing security services for the rich and famous. Even sometimes, official high-level trips will ask them to help. The reason why Zhang Yi found them was because in his previous life, he had heard that Zhanlong Company built a top-level safe house for the richest man in Jiangnan province. It is said that the big boss who started his career in real estate can still live a chic life in the apocalypse. The safe house built by Zhanlong Company for them is indisputable. Zhang Yi came to Zhanlong Company and explained his purpose to the front desk. Immediately, someone from the business department invited Zhang Yi to lounge. The female receptionist brought Zhang Yi freshly ground coffee. Not long after, a burly man with big arms and a short cut came in. He was wearing a black suit, which looked like a thug in a suit. It made people worry at any time that the clothes would burst. But I have to say that when guests see such a person, they will feel full of security in their hearts. Hello, sir. My name is Wu Huairan, and I'm the manager of the business department. Is there anything you can do for us? Sitting next to Zhang Yi, Wu Huairan asked. Zhang Yi took a sip of coffee and said, I need you to build me a safe house. It's the highest level safe house that can withstand the end of the world. When Wu Huairen heard this, his eyes suddenly became serious. If others hear these words, they will find it very ridiculous. Because no one will believe that there is such a thing as the end of the world. But for Zhanlong Company, this is not a joke. Because in this world, the richest and most powerful people are often the most afraid of death. A long time ago, there were some tycoons in foreign countries who did not hesitate to spend more than $1 billion to build a doomsday shelter. Over the years, many millionaires around the world have followed suit. Some people may be genuinely afraid of large-scale natural disasters. There are also some people who simply have too many enemies on weekdays, so they hope to give themselves a sense of security. The Doomsday Safe House of Zhanlong Security Company was born naturally in response to the market. When Wu Huairen heard that Zhang Yi was going to build a doomsday-level safe house, he immediately became polite. They can't receive a few such big orders every year. Mr. Zhang, Zhanlong is a world-class security company. We will definitely be able to meet your requirements. Wu Huairen took out a tablet and handed it to Zhang Yi. Our company's services are all customized, and you can choose the business you need. And there are corresponding prices on it. In the information age, communication is convenient. Zhang Yi took the computer he handed over, and began to carefully screen the surfaces on it. It has to be said that a professional company is a professional company. As long as you have enough money, Zhanlong Security Company can meet almost all your requirements, including building safe houses 100 meters below and under the sea. However, these projects are too slow for Zhang Yi, and he only has 1 month. Chapter 7 Buying Equipment. After Zhang Yi finished reading the introduction to the safe house, he immediately chose his own service items. The first is to strengthen the whole house. For their house, the whole body material is replaced. Walls, ceilings and floors are all made of 100 mm thick steel plates. The window glass is bulletproof plexiglass. The second is the ventilation system, which is equipped with an air filtration system. No harmful gas can enter from the outside. Finally, there is a full set of monitoring system, which can monitor the inside and outside of the house in all directions without dead ends. The doors are all replaced with thick metal doors of the same material as bank vaults, which are difficult to explode even with bombs. In short, Zhang Yi has only one request, that is to make his house an iron bastard that absolutely no one can invade. After checking these, Zhang Yi handed the computer to Wu Huairen. After Wu Huairen finished reading it, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. A house of only 120 square meters is built like an iron barrel. As long as you add weapons, this is simply a large fortress. Wu Huairen murmured. Hearing these words, Zhang Yi's eyes flashed. Oh, do you still have research on the fortress? Wu Huairen laughed and said, I used to be a mercenary abroad, so I know all about military and military knowledge like the back of my hand. A flash of light flashed in Zhang Yi's mind. He suddenly lowered his voice and said to Wu Huairen, Then can you get a gun? This sentence made Wu Huairen's expression serious. In Huaguo, private ownership of firearms is not allowed. Mr. Zhang, you should understand that in principle, that kind of thing is not allowed to be held privately. Wu Huairen also whispered. Did you meet some terrible enemy that made you so afraid? Zhang Yi borrowed a slope to get off the donkey. That's right, I offended some people on the road, they shot very hard, and they had guns in their hands. I just thought, can I get some guns for self-defense? Otherwise, I can only hide in the house and be beaten, which is not a problem. Wu Huairen chuckled, Mr. Zhang, I'm afraid I can't help you with this kind of thing. We are a regular company. But from Wu Huairen's eyes, Zhang Yi could tell that it wasn't that he couldn't get a gun, but that he didn't want to wade into the muddy water. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. Then he said to Wu Huairen, the safe house project I worked on cost more than 800 million yuan. If I still have problems later, it will not have a good impact on your company. He stared at Wu Huairen, and said word by word, I just want to have a self-defense guy. If you can help me with this, I can't treat you badly. Wu Huairen didn't speak, he was frowning and weighing the matter. Of course, he has connections. But he didn't know Zhang Yi's background, so of course he didn't dare to introduce it to Zhang Yi easily. You go back first. Although I can't do this, I can help you inquire about it. If there's any news, I will contact you again. Wu Huairen obviously couldn't make up his mind for a while. But Zhang Yi didn't push too hard. Guns really need to be careful. He smiled and said, "Okay, I'll just wait for your news. By the way, I am very urgent about this matter. Please come and help me build a safe house as soon as possible." Wu Huairen said, "At most half a month, we can help you build it." After Zhang Yi finished talking with Wu Huairen, he signed the contract on the spot. Likewise, he paid a deposit of 100 million yuan. As for the remaining final payment, there is no chance to pay again in this life. Left Zhanlong Security Company. The living problem is basically solved. Next, Zhang Yi returned to the car and called one of his acquaintances, Liu Yang. Liu Yang runs a hunting ground in Xianhe City. Hundreds of acres of land have been covered in Zishan, and all kinds of harmless small animals are kept in it, which are used for hunting and recreation on weekdays. In his hand, there are many crossbows, compound bows and air guns obtained legally. Zhang Yi went to play a few times before, so he has Liu Yang's contact information. He called Liu Yang to help him buy a batch, and offered that he could buy at a premium. Liu Yang is a businessman, and on weekdays he sometimes asks Zhang Yi, so he easily agreed to this matter. "Brother Zhang, why did you buy so many equipment? These things can only be used for hunting, or for playing by yourself. You can't use them to hurt people." Liu Yang asked with a smile, but his words were somewhat cautious. After all, things were sold from him. If Zhang Yi hurts someone with these weapons, he will also be in trouble. Of course, those who can open a hunting ground in Xianhe City naturally have backgrounds. But there is no need for others to take risks because of Zhang Yi, an ordinary friend. Zhang Yi laughed. "You're thinking too much? I've made an appointment with some friends, and I will go hunting in the African safari park after a while. So get more equipment." Liu Yang clicked his tongue twice. "Oh, Brother Zhang can still play. But there are many lions and hyenas in Africa, pay attention to safety." "Yet, then it's settled. How long will it take for me to get things ready?" "Hey, I have a ready-made one here, and you can come and pick it up later when you have time." Zhang Yi didn't procrastinate, and immediately drove to the Zishan hunting ground, and bought the things back. For him, the time now is very precious and cannot be wasted for a single moment. He bought 5 fine steel crossbows, 3 high-grade compound bows, and 300 bows and crossbows from Liu Yang. In addition, he also bought 2 good hunting knives. This is made of Damascus steel, which is very tough and sharp, and it is extremely difficult to damage unless it is chopping hard objects for a long time. These things filled a trunk full. Looking at this pile of equipment, Zhang Yi felt a sense of security in his heart. He took a load of equipment home. Since they were all purchased from regular channels, he himself had passed the hunting certificate for fun, so he was not worried about being questioned by the police. By the time he got home, it was already dusk. Zhang Yi went out again and ate a hot pot meal alone in Haidalao. Thinking that he would have to make hot pot by himself in the future, he immediately paid for it and ordered 10,000 servings of hot pot base from Haidalao. The waiters in Haidalao were all frightened and stupid, thinking that Zhang Yi was someone who was hostile to the business and came to make trouble. But fortunately, Haidaleo's service is better, so they didn't directly turn against Zhang Yi. Later, the manager of the store came over and after asking Zhang Yi for a while, he took the order. But the condition is to pay in cash to prevent Zhang Yi from being sabotaged by a hostile businessman. Zhang Yi was very straightforward, and paid more than 100 million directly on the spot. Such a generous handwriting directly made the store manager laugh from ear to ear, and even gave Zhang Yi 500 copies as a gift. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. Zhang Yi left the address and asked Haidaleo's employees to turn around and send the hot pot bottoms there. As for food materials, they can be taken directly from Walmart's warehouse at that time. There are only hot pot ingredients, which are not really sold. Even the bagged hot pot ingredients that can be bought on the market are actually far worse than those in the store. Otherwise, no customers would come to the store to eat hot pot. After eating, Zhang Yi was about to go home when the phone received a call from the manager of the 5-star hotel. "Mr. Zhang, we have prepared the 500 tables you ordered. Is it convenient for you to receive it now? Well, you can just send it over." Zhang Yi returned home and waited for them to deliver all the delicious food and drink. These 500 tables of banquets are enough for him to eat for 2 or 3 years. Anyway, he still has 89 million in his hands, so he doesn't feel bad about spending money now, but is anxious to spend all the money. On the way back, Zhang Yi thought about what else he would like to eat. So, he placed orders for several major restaurants in Xianhe City, asking them to send him 100 tables each. 8 major cuisines, including Western food, have ordered thousands of tables. All of a sudden, he had paid for half of his life's food. Soon after, the dining car of Huangfu Xiangsha Hotel arrived at the gate of Yulu community. 20 or 30 vehicles were so mighty that the road was completely blocked, which made the neighbors in the community dumbfounded. Uncle Yu, the security guard, hurried forward to stop them and asked what they were doing here. The hotel manager explained the situation, but Uncle Yu still insisted that the owner come over before he could open the door. After all, they were fighting too much, and they didn't know what was in the car. He couldn't let it go easily for the safety of the community. The hotel manager had no choice but to call Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi went downstairs and came to the gate of the community. At this time, the gate of the community was full of people. Among them were the neighbors from the unit building, and Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning who were watching the excitement. Zhang Yi walked up to Uncle Yu, the security guard, and said with a smile, "Uncle Yu, these are for me. Let them in." Uncle Yu was surprised. "Meal delivery? What do you eat? Do you need more than a dozen cars to deliver it?" When the neighbors heard that it was a dining car, they were also in an uproar. "Good guy, there must be at least a few hundred tables here. Could it be that there is something going on in Zhang Yi's house, and a banquet is going to be held? Could he be getting married? But hundreds of tables are too scary. You can see clearly, that is Huangfu Xiangsha, a 5-star hotel. Hundreds of tables have been booked there, at least 1 million. My God, a banquet can cost millions of dollars. Zhang Yi is really hiding his secrets. I used to only know that their family has a good foundation, but now it seems that they are a very rich man." The neighbors talked a lot, and the eyes they looked at Zhang Yi became fiery, with a bit of awe. Fang Yuqing on the side of the road pursed her lips when she saw this scene, and strengthened her determination to take down Zhang Yi. She took the initiative to walk towards Zhang Yi, and said with a smile, "Zhang Yi, what are you doing at home recently? You bought so many things." Zhang Yi ignored her, but handed Uncle Yu a cigarette. When Uncle Yu saw the owner coming, he opened the fence gate to let the Huangfu Xiangsha Hotel's motorcade enter the complex. Zhang Yi led the way for them. And although he didn't talk to Fang Yuqing didn't care at all at this moment, chatting and laughing with him. "Is there anything at home that you can tell me? Aren't we good friends? In the future, I hope to know more about you. Don't treat me as an outsider." Zhang Yi took a deep look at her, and said with a sneer, "I bought these things from my boss. And the last time I went to a Western restaurant for dinner, it was also his treat." As he said that, he sighed, "Hey, if only I were so rich." Fang Yuqing's expression suddenly changed. You're not kidding me, are you?" Zhang Yi spread his hands. "How could I lie to you? We've known each other for several years, and it's not like you don't know anything about our family. My parents have passed away, and I am just a supervisor in the warehouse. How can I have any money?" His explanation made Fang Yuqing's face cloudy and uncertain. She had indeed suspected that the rich second generation, at least in the family, had to do big business. And Zhang Yi's parents passed away for several years. Although they left some family property, they are not considered as rich second generation. Now that Zhang Yi has personally admitted that he is not the rich second generation, all the doubts in Fang Yuqing's heart can be explained. She silently distanced herself from Zhang Yi, then brushed her hair together, and said with a polite smile, "Whether you are rich second generation or not, we are all best friends, aren't we? I am not a woman who worships money." The word friend was deliberately bitten heavily by her. Green tea never fails to do things, because she still needs a spare tire and a licking dog to serve herself. The corner of Zhang Yi's mouth twitched, and he stopped talking to her. On the other hand, the employees of Huangfu Xiangsha began to move tables of feasts to Zhang Yi's house. What Zhang Yi ordered were all top-notch, such as abalone, ginseng belly, Australian dragon, truffle, and caviar. It would have been difficult for his house to accommodate a feast of 500 tables. Even the hotel manager looked a little headache. But Zhang Yi told them that they just need to move their things into the house. He himself secretly took advantage of the transporter to go downstairs, knocking all the food into his own different space. He did it very covertly, so no one found out. Soon, all the 500 tables of feasts were collected by him in the different space. At night, Zhang Yi received a call from Wu Huairen, the manager of Zhanlong Company. Wu Huairen told Zhang Yi that they were ready and could come to build a safe house for Zhang Yi at any time. Ask Zhang Yi when it is convenient to start work. Zhang Yi told them directly that they could come over tomorrow. And he plans to move to the hotel first. After talking about the safe house, Zhang Yi was waiting for Wu Huairen's next words. He asked Wu Huairen for another very important thing, and that was to create an equalizer for all beings. After hesitating for a while, Wu Huairen lowered his voice and said to Zhang Yi, "If you really need this, I can recommend a door for you. But the price will be a little expensive." Zhang Yi nodded. Of course he understands this. But in terms of money, he doesn't care at all now. This is not a problem. As long as the quality is good. Wu Huairen said very easily, "Okay, since this is the case, I will introduce you. I will notify you of the transaction location in 3 days." Chapter 9 Super Warehouse. The way of the gun was settled, and Zhang Yi felt a lot more relaxed. In the end of the world, with this thing, no matter when encountering human or non-human things, you can have a very huge confidence. The next day, Zhang Yi packed some important things in the house into his own space. The house is going to be a safe house, so he has to temporarily move to a hotel to live in. Early in the morning, 3 black vans drove into Yulu community. A large number of Zhanlong Company workers in work clothes got off the car and began to measure the data of Zhang Yi's house. Many neighbors around saw this scene, and their eyes were full of curiosity. Did Zhang Yi take some wrong medicine recently? Why does he keep getting so many moths? A few colleagues laughed and said, "That's right, I was in the supermarket a few days ago and saw him buying 3 trolleys of food." Ha ha ha. Those who don't know think that the end of the world is coming. If you hoard so much food, won't it all be wasted if it expires? Maybe there's something wrong with the spirit. The big guy expressed incomprehension to Zhang Yi's abnormal behavior, but no one cared, and only regarded Zhang Yi as a joke. Even Fang Yuqing and Li Kaining thought Zhang Yi was out of his mind. Li Kaining suddenly realized, "I figured it out, no wonder he went to eat at a Michelin 3-star restaurant that day." It turned out that his brain was broken. Fang Yuqing frowned, but her mood was particularly unhappy. Thinking of the day when she took the initiative to strike up a conversation with Zhang Yi, and helped him push so many things home, her feet were so tired that she felt so angry. "This Zhang Yi, what the hell is he doing?" Li Kaining said worriedly. "He promised to treat us to a big meal, won't you forget? She really wants to go to a Michelin 3-star restaurant for a meal." Fang Yuqing sneered, "Let's forget it. Seeing his mental state recently, even if he invites me to eat, I won't go. What a shame if someone finds us having dinner with him. She plans to catch a rich husband in the future, so she must not ruin her reputation." When Li Kaining heard what Fang Yuqing said, although she was very unwilling in her heart, she had no choice but to give up. On Zhang Yi's side, he didn't care what the neighbors thought of him at all. After a month, they will understand who is the real joke. Zhang Yi left the house, then drove to the Walmart warehouse. Today is Monday, and it's time to go to work. By the way, I will check in the warehouse so that I can start at that time. Walmart's warehouse is located in the Economic Development Zone, which is the edge of Xianhe City. Because the land price here is relatively cheap, the warehouses of many large groups in Xianhe City are gathered here. Even the warehouses of some pharmaceutical companies are here. This made it easier for Zhang Yi to go back and get some special drugs. After arriving at the Walmart warehouse, Zhang Yi clocked into work as usual. As the supervisor of the warehouse, Zhang Yi is very familiar with this place. It can be said that every warehouse and even every shelf is very precious to him. He would feel particularly bored when he came here. But today, seeing these huge warehouses and those materials worth tens of billions, he could only feel unstoppable excitement. Because soon, these things will be taken away by him and become his most important living resources in the last days. As the South China General Warehouse of Walmart, the amount of materials here is beyond anyone's imagination. There are tens of thousands of Cokes in stock alone. The entire warehouse covers an area of several million square meters, and all kinds of living materials are piled up to the brim. Among them, in addition to food, clothing, hardware tools and other daily necessities, there are even cars, drones, diesel generators and barrels of gasoline. It can almost be said that as long as it is allowed to sell in supermarkets, you can definitely buy it here. Zhang Yi has worked here for many years, and he has long been familiar with what is placed on each shelf. Moreover, he is also very clear about the shift schedule and camera positions here. Although the monitoring here is very strict, but he is familiar with the loopholes in it, and he can paralyze the entire monitoring system within 10 minutes. Then use the ability of the system space to take away all the things here. But now, Zhang Yi is not in a hurry to do it. There is still plenty of time, and he doesn't want to startle the snake. After wandering around in the warehouse, he left. Carrying a pack of yellow crane tower, I came to the warehouse of ruining pharmaceutical company next door. Since he works in one place on weekdays, he is also familiar with the staff here. After Zhang Yi came over, he found Zhou Heron, a manager of their warehouse. Everyone knows everything on a daily basis. In the warehouse of a large group, there must be people who rely on the warehouse to eat the warehouse. This Zhou Heron's brother-in-law is the vice president of ruining group. So on weekdays, he often steals some medicines from the warehouse and sells them. After Zhang Yi found Zhou Heron, he chatted with him, and then stated his purpose in a circumstantial manner. I hope I can get a few boxes of special medicines for acute illnesses. Zhou Heron was on guard at first. But later, Zhang Yi said that as long as he could get the medicine over, he could double the price on the market. Hearing that Zhang Yi was willing to pay such a high price, Zhou Heron couldn't hold back immediately. In the end, the two made a deal at a price of 300 million 5 boxes of medicine. After getting the medicine, Zhang Yi basically prepared all the materials needed for the doomsday. With less than a month to go before the end, he certainly wasn't in the mood to continue working. So he came to the warehouse manager's office and lied that a grandfather of the same clan in his hometown had passed away, and he wanted to go back to attend the funeral and asked for 20 days off. Zhang Yi is very popular in daily life and has a good relationship with the manager, so he was not made things difficult, and he easily asked for leave. For the next period of time, Zhang Yi planned to lie down comfortably in a 5-star hotel. Then wait for the supplies you'd purchased to arrive one after another, and the construction of the safe house is completed. When he came out of the manager's office, he happened to see Fang Yuqing pouring coffee in front of the coffee machine with her butt pouted. It has to be said that this woman does have some green tea capital, and there is a sense of coquettishness in her bones. Pour a cup of coffee, that little butt doesn't forget to twist. No, some young male dogs were attracted to come over and show their hospitality. A man next to him smiled and invited Fang Yuqing to watch Zhou's concert together, waving the tickets in his hand as if showing off. This man is Zhou Peng, and Zhang Yi has a deep impression of him, because they also live in the same community. And he is Fang Yuqing's loyal licking dog. He was one of the people who killed Zhang Yi in the previous life. Chapter 10. Zhou Peng showed great hospitality to Fang Yuqing from the side. But it was obvious that Fang Yuqing was not interested in men like Zhou Peng. In terms of economic conditions, Zhou Peng is much worse than Zhang Yi, and he even rents a house. However, Fang Yuqing still smiled and said to him, "Thank you, Zhou Peng. But I just had an appointment with a friend that night." What a coincidence. A look of disappointment flashed across Zhou Peng's face. For these 2 concert tickets, he spent a whole month's salary. Originally, she had hoped to take the opportunity to confess her love to Fang Yuqing during the concert. But I didn't expect it to be in vain. When Zhang Yi saw this scene, a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He knew that Zhou Peng, a licking dog, would not get any results in the end. But when Zhou Peng was disappointed, he saw Zhang Yi next to him with a smile on his face, and immediately became angry. In order to divert his embarrassment, he immediately walked over and said to Zhang Yi, "Zhang Yi, you are too rude. A big man actually asked a woman to help you carry things. Are you embarrassed? Yuqing came to work today and kept complaining about her back being sore. Next time something like this happens again, I hope you don't bother her." Zhang Yi glanced at Fang Yuqing. It turned out that this woman had spread the word. Fang Yuqing also said hypocritically, "It's alright, in fact, there's nothing wrong with her body. It's just that I can't do the hard work, and it seems that my waist is a little twisted." As she spoke, she reached out and pinched her waist, then frowned with a painful expression. Zhou Peng wanted to show his masculinity in front of Fang Yuqing. Immediately, he pointed at Zhang Yi arrogantly, "Hurry up and give Yuqing 500 yuan to see a doctor." Unexpectedly, Zhang Yi's eyes turned cold, and he stared at Zhou Peng and cursed, "It was her own initiative to help me move things, I didn't ask her for help. Besides, what kind of thing are you, here to tell me what to do?" Do you really think you are a human being? Zhang Yi scolded so heartily that both Zhou Peng and Fang Yuqing were stunned. Zhou Peng is just an ordinary clerk in the warehouse, with no power. The reason why he dared to scold Zhang Yi was because Zhang Yi usually had a good temper and didn't like to care about others. But seeing that Zhang Yi was really angry, Zhou Peng was a little scared immediately. Why are you yelling so loudly? I was just discussing with you. Zhang Yi sneered, turned his head and left. He was too lazy to talk to Zhou Peng. Because now Zhang Yi looks at anyone as if he is looking at a dead person. 1 month later, 99% of the people around him will die in the extreme cold storm of the doomsday. Why should he talk nonsense to the dead? After Zhang Yi left, Zhou Peng ran to Fang Yuqing and beeped softly. Yuqing, I just said that Zhang Yi is not a good guy. You should stay away from him in the future. Fang Yuqing frowned, feeling puzzled in her heart. Because in the past few days, Zhang Yi seemed to be a completely different person. After seeing her, he didn't take the initiative to come over to say hello. I don't even talk to her every night, just say good night to her. There must be something weird. Fang Yuqing thought secretly in her heart. After Zhang Yi got off work, he drove to a 5-star hotel in Xianhe City. It happened to be Hongfu Xiangsha, which he ordered before. When Hongfu Xiangsha's manager heard that Zhang Yi was coming, he immediately asked someone to arrange a room for him with a big smile on his face. A room in a 5-star hotel costs more than 1,000 a night. Zhang Yi didn't feel bad at all. Anyway, he still has a few million in his hand, and he would feel it was a waste if he couldn't spend it all. That night, Bai Lianhu Fang Yuqing took the initiative to send a message to Zhang Yi. Fang Yuqing, Zhang Yi, I passed by your house today and saw someone doing renovations. The corner of Zhang Yi's mouth twitched. Well, yes. Fang Yuqing, it feels strange to you recently. You are hoarding things and decorating the house again. Is something going to happen recently? Zhang Yi couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Although this white lotus is bad, his brain is not stupid at all. It seemed that his strange behavior for a while had finally caught her attention. But Zhang Yi doesn't care, other people's eyes don't mean anything to him now. It's nothing. He replied coldly, and then threw the phone aside. On the other end of the phone, Fang Yuqing looked at Zhang Yi, who was indifferent to her, but felt very uncomfortable in her heart. In the past 2 years, Zhang Yi has been very kind to her. And he always greets her with care, and finds various reasons to chat with her every night. However, recently, he seemed to be a completely different person towards her. His attitude became cold and he didn't even talk to her, and he didn't even take the initiative to chat with her. This made Fang Yuqing feel very uncomfortable. She may not be interested in Zhang Yi, but Zhang Yi is absolutely not allowed to lose interest in her. In Fang Yuqing's view, it was a sign that a fish in her pond had escaped. Although Zhang Yi is not a rich second generation, he can be regarded as a high-quality middle-class Zhang. If she can't find a rich second generation to marry in the future, she can still give Zhang Yi a chance to take over. Fang Yuqing picked up her phone and sent another message. I feel like we've lost touch recently. It makes me feel a little lonely. But after waiting for a long time, there was no reply. Fang Yuqing bit her lip, feeling a little irritable in her heart. Damn Zhang Yi, has he gotten into trouble recently? This girl took the initiative to find him, but he dared not reply to my message. On the side, her roommate Li Kaining heard Fang Yuqing's complaints and walked over with a smile. That Zhang Yi is really weird recently. Who knows why he bought so much food and drink, and also ordered so many banquets from the hotel. It really looks like there will be a shortage of supply soon. Fang Yuqing frowned slightly when she heard this sentence. She said to Li Kaining, Ning, do you think something will happen after a while? Zhang Yi started stocking up after getting the news? Li Kaining was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then laughed out loud while covering his stomach. Yuqing, are you stupid? If something really happens, there will be an official notification. It's good for us to be at ease. If we really stock up on supplies, others will laugh at us as fools. After Fang Yuqing heard this, she also smiled self-deprecatingly. Makes sense. Zhang Yi stayed in the suite of the 5-star hotel for several days. He didn't go anywhere. In the past few days, on the one hand, he purchased banquets in major hotels wantonly. On the other hand, in the room, he began to practice the use of compound bows and crossbows. Fortunately, Zhang Yi liked hunting in the past and had a good foundation. Now within 15 meters, his hit rate is particularly high. Especially with a professional-grade compound bow in hand, Such modern equipment can allow an ordinary person to shoot an arrow comparable to an ancient archer. Not to mention dealing with humans, even wild boars, jackals, and large dogs can cause good damage. Chapter 11. The safe house is built. 3 days later, Zhang Yi successfully got 2 guns and 100 rounds of ammunition under the lead of Wu Huairan. Although the price is a bit expensive, Zhang Yi does not dislike it in the slightest. With this heavy thing in his hand, in the last days, he has more confidence in his own safety. As for the medicines needed in the last days, he also finished the deal with Zhou Heron, and directly got 2 boxes of imported high-end medicines. Another week passed. Wu Huairan called Zhang Yi and told him that the safe house had been built according to his requirements. Ask him to come back and check. Only then did Zhang Yi leave the hotel where he stayed for a long time, and then drove back to Yulu community. Wu Huairan personally took Zhang Yi to inspect the house. When he got home and looked at it, Zhang Yi couldn't help but see a bright light in his eyes. Zhanlong Company deserves to be a first-class security company in China. The speed and quality with which they build their safe houses can't be faulted. According to Zhang Yi's request, the whole house has been installed with 100 mm thick steel plate. And from the outside, there is no difference from before. Wu Huairan patiently explained to Zhang Yi one by one. The ventilation system is of military grade, which can filter any harmful gas and prevent someone from attacking poisonous gas from the outside. In addition, the thermal insulation system of the whole house has also been completely redone, using professional-grade materials from the Arctic Science Institute. In addition to building the fireplace according to your requirements, it can also isolate 99.5% of the temperature loss. Speaking of this, Wu Huairan smiled mysteriously at Zhang Yi. In addition, in order to ensure your safety, we have installed a monitoring system in the entire building. There are a total of 300 cameras, allowing you to monitor every floor of the entire building. After Zhang Yi heard this, he was surprised and didn't know what to say. I can only sigh that it is really good to be rich, and you can buy services that ordinary people can't imagine. He came to the balcony and found that the balcony had been transformed into a huge floor-to-ceiling window. Wu Huairan explained, the materials of the windows are all bulletproof and explosion-proof, even stronger than 100 mm steel plates. And it is convenient for your lighting and necessary external observation. Zhang Yi is very satisfied with this safe house. I'm afraid no one can force his way into his home unless it's an army armed with heavy weapons. Even if the whole building collapses, I'm afraid there won't be any problems in his room. I am very satisfied with this safe house you have built. Zhang Yi smiled and said to Wu Huairan. Wu Huairan also smiled. He took out the document and asked Zhang Yi to sign it, and then said, if there is no problem, please pay our final payment within 3 months. Zhang Yi smiled and nodded, definitely. However, it is impossible for him to pay the final payment. It's so cool to think that I only spent a deposit of 100 million yuan to prostitute a safe house worth nearly, million yuan. Zhang Yi lay on the sofa, looking at his perfect safe house. But after thinking about it for a while, he realized that he had overlooked a very important thing. That is the source of life. Zhang Yi slapped his forehead. I'm going, how can you forget such an important thing as water? After the end of the ice, although it is freezing outside, water can be obtained by digging ice. But at that time, it is generally -2, degrees outside, and going out means that it may be dangerous. Zhang Yi absolutely cannot tolerate such a big loophole in his safe house. After thinking about it, he placed an order directly through the delivery platform and bought 100 huge water storage buckets. It can store 500 cubic meters of water at one time, which is enough for several years of self-use. In addition, mineral water can be taken from the warehouse later, so the problem of water resources has been perfectly solved. The speed of the courier is really impressive. A few hours later, it was delivered to Zhang Yi's door. Zhang Yi came to the gate of the community and asked Uncle Yu, the security guard, to let the courier brother through. Seeing that Zhang Yi bought so many strange things again, the neighbors around were all talking about it. This Zhang Yi, is there something wrong? That's right, I buy some weird things every day. A few days ago when their house was being renovated, I saw many people carrying steel plates at least 10 centimeters thick. Hee, maybe my brain is broken. What kind of safe house do I have in other movies? I've also seen some rich people doing that kind of thing in foreign videos. Isn't this completely unfounded worry? Now that he has bought so many buckets, Doesn't he think that Xianhe City will be short of water in the future? Ha ha ha. Facing the ridicule of the neighbors as if watching a show, Zhang Yi didn't bother to argue with him. He just sneered in his heart, and when the end of the ice comes, you will understand how stupid you are now. Zhang Yi was not interested in explaining to them. Because these people will only regard Zhang Yi as a fool, and will not listen to his good advice at all. Maybe there will be a backlash, saying that Zhang Yi spread rumors and disrupted social order. Then catch him again. The doorman, Uncle Yu, was chatting with his neighbor, Uncle Tang. Uncle Yu came over enthusiastically and asked, Xiao Zhang, what are you buying so many buckets for? If you need help, let me know, and I will help you. Looking at the enthusiastic Uncle Yu, Zhang Yi couldn't help feeling a little emotional in his heart. Uncle Yu is a veteran and has no children. He has worked as a security guard in the community for more than 10 years and has always done his duty. In his previous life, in order to help a mother and daughter who were about to starve to death, he donated his last food and starved to death himself. He is the brilliance of humanity that Zhang Yi has rarely seen in the last days. So Zhang Yi said to Uncle Yu, Uncle Yu, the temperature this year is a bit abnormal. I have inside information that this winter is very difficult. Just in case, you'd better stock up on more food and drink to avoid price increases in time. Uncle Yu and Zhang Yi usually have a good relationship. He knew that Zhang Yi was a warm-hearted and kind-hearted young man. In addition, older people are always prone to have a sense of urgency, so they frowned when they heard what Zhang Yi said. Xiao Zhang, is it true or not? Is the news reliable? Zhang Yi nodded. Look, I have prepared so many things. You can stock up on instant noodles and mineral water, and you are not afraid to buy too many of these things. Uncle Yu nodded immediately. He lives alone, and he likes to stock up some instant noodles and ham sausage at home, which is convenient for cooking. Now that Zhang Yi has reminded him, then take the time to buy more. Think of it as buying a peace of mind. Anyway, those things can be stored, so I am not afraid of buying too much. However, when Uncle Tang heard the words, he came over to Zhang Yi and said, Xiao Zhang, please don't say such things everywhere. Now that our society is stable and peaceful, why is there a shortage of supplies? If you say something like this, be careful not to be reported for spreading rumors. You will be invited to drink tea then. Zhang Yi rolled his eyes, but didn't pay much attention to it. What he can remind has already been reminded, and it's up to them to believe it or not. Chapter 12 Evacuating a warehouse worth hundreds of millions. Zhang Yi asked the courier brother to deliver 100 giant buckets to their home. Then I started to turn on all the faucets in the house and started pouring water into the buckets. According to this speed, all 100 buckets can be filled in a week at most. Days passed by. Zhang Yi is not idle all day. He spent every penny in his hands without saving. Go to the best restaurant for every meal. Then buy a large number of meals from top restaurants and store them in your own different space. And during this period, he went to the shooting range in Xianhe City every day to practice crossbow and firearm shooting, and strive to improve his skills. In a month's time, it is not realistic to want to train yourself to become a master of fighting. But with a crossbow and gun, plus a super safe house with a full metal casing, he will not be afraid of any possible danger. Such a move naturally cannot escape everyone's eyes. But everyone around him treats Zhang Yi as a joke. Thinking that he has mental problems, they all laughed at him in private. Even Fang Yuqing deliberately distanced herself from Zhang Yi, unwilling to communicate with him. Just like that, time passed day by day. More than 20 days have passed quickly, and the end is not far away. Zhang Yi has collected a huge amount of supplies, including food, weapons and heating equipment. However, these did not provide him with enough sense of security. He decided to attack Walmart's giant warehouse. As long as he takes down this warehouse, he can get a huge amount of supplies that he can't use up in 10 lifetimes. So, Zhang Yi returned to the warehouse and went to work normally. Walmart warehouses are staffed 24 hours a day, but at night, there are only 10 people on duty. Zhang Yi decided to use the simplest and crudest method, which was to add sleeping pills to the tea they drank. Anyway, the end of the world is less than a week away, and he is not afraid of being found out that he did it himself. Since these people are all old acquaintances of Zhang Yi easily succeeded. After the effect of the medicine took effect, they fell into deep sleep, while Zhang Yi came to the monitoring room and turned off the cameras in the entire warehouse. After doing all this, he quickly came to the warehouse. Looking at the huge warehouse in front of him, Zhang Yi took a deep breath, and then began to collect the supplies. As long as he glanced at the shelf with his right eye, the whole shelf will appear in his different space with just a thought. Zhang Yi came to the beverage area first. Hundreds of thousands of tons of mineral water, beverages and liquors are stored here, including many high-end red wines and foreign wines. Zhang Yi didn't make any distinctions, and packed them all into his warehouse. Soon, the thousands of cubic meters of drinks in front of him disappeared. The next one is the fuel area for living supplies. There are plenty of anthracite and barrels of gasoline and alcohol. They are all household types, used for family storage or travel and picnic use. There are tens of thousands of boxes of anthracite alone, not to mention those solid alcohol and barreled gasoline. The amount here, Zhang Yi can't use it up in 100 years alone. Zhang Yi put them all away without hesitation, and then used his years of professional knowledge in warehousing to allocate areas for them in the different space. This will make it easier for you to use. In the third step, he came to the food area. The amount here is even bigger, tens of thousands of tons. Canned food, packaged roast chicken, roast duck, puffed food, convenience food, high-end snacks. Zhang Yi is not picky eaters at all, he takes whatever he has. After taking the food, Zhang Yi came to the sports equipment again. His safe house and sports equipment are also essential. Although the space in the safe house is limited, he will not be polite about the things that can be taken. Anyway, the area of the different space is unlimited, so if you don't take it, you won't take it for nothing. Among them, there are some special things. For example, baseball bats and fencing are particularly useful weapons. During the collection process, Zhang Yi found some particularly useful items. For example, skiing and mountaineering equipment, including professional winter clothing at the national athlete level. These things can withstand the extreme cold temperature of -100. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up. These are the top cold protection equipment after the end of the ice. He was not polite, and immediately collected dozens of top-level winter clothes and sleeping bags in the warehouse. After 2 full hours, Zhang Yi alone emptied out the entire Walmart warehouse, covering an area of several million square meters. After finishing these, looking at the huge and empty warehouse, Zhang Yi felt indescribably satisfied. Now, even in the face of the coldest ice age, he is confident that he can live comfortably forever. Zhang Yi returned to his post, took a sip of the tea with sleeping pills, and fell asleep on the table. After an unknown amount of time, he was jolted awake by someone. "Director, supervisor, something serious happened, wake up." Zhang Yi slowly opened his eyes, and looked at the colleagues in front of him with a confused expression. What happened? A warehouse employee tremblingly pointed at the warehouse and said, "Damn it! Our warehouse has been emptied." "What?" Zhang Yi patted the table in surprise and stood up. He pretended to come to the warehouse, and he saw the empty scene as a matter of course. Zhang Yi naturally knew what happened in his heart better than anyone else. However, his legs were still weak, and he said in a trembling voice, "What happened? Why are so many supplies in the warehouse gone?" The surrounding employees also looked nervous. Yes, there are at least tens of billions of materials in this warehouse. Even if it is pulled by a large truck, it will take several days to complete it. Why are all of them gone in the blink of an eye? They kept silent about what happened just now. After all, everyone is on the night shift, and it is common for them to take a nap at night. Zhang Yi sullenly walked 2 steps back and forth pretending to be anxious. Then he said to everyone, "This matter is too bizarre, we can't solve it. Let's call the people above." Although the big guy was very nervous, he was not too scared. Because things got so big, they didn't have much responsibility. The materials worth tens of billions in the entire warehouse disappeared in just 2 hours, which is obviously not something they can do. They earn thousands of dollars in wages a month, and they don't need to work hard for the company. So when Zhang Yi said this, everyone nodded in agreement. Let the people above worry about this kind of mess. Zhang Yi immediately called the manager of the warehouse to inform him of the incident. After the manager heard the news, he was completely frightened, and even thought that Zhang Yi was joking with him. Chapter 13 The Ice Age Comes. Zhang Yi emptied the entire warehouse of Walmart's South China warehouse. Materials worth tens of billions have all entered his different space. And he pretended not to know anything, and immediately reported to Walmart's top management. Soon, the news spread throughout Walmart's South China executives. Shocked, a large group of leaders rushed to the scene and called the police to deal with the matter. Zhang Yi was not worried at all that he would be exposed. After all, in just 2 hours, all the tens of billions of materials in the entire warehouse disappeared. This kind of thing is too unimaginable. Even if the police investigate with all their strength, they will not be able to find out in a short time. However, he still pretended to be nervous and scared, and cooperated with the police investigation. After a night of interrogation, Zhang Yi was released. The police are also very suspicious of this matter, because they investigated the footage inside and outside the warehouse. Although the internal video recordings have been turned off, it is impossible to steal millions of cubic meters of supplies without leaving any traces. However, through the video inspection around the warehouse, no trace of any vehicles passing by was found. In other words, the tens of billions of supplies either disappeared out of thin air, or it was a trick played by Walmart itself. But if it is inferred by logic, it is obvious that the latter is more reasonable. After all, unless there is a supernatural phenomenon, it is impossible to explain how the millions of cubic meters of materials disappeared without a trace in just 2 hours. As for ordinary employees like Zhang Yi, although it also aroused certain doubts. However, the logical problem of the disappearance of materials cannot be explained. Even if there is a problem with the internal staff, it is not the main contradiction. Zhang Yi was ordered not to leave Xianhe City for a short period of time, and must cooperate with the police and Walmart's internal investigation at any time. Zhang Yi cooperated very well, and was then released. After Zhang Yi returned home, he glanced outside through the blinds of the French windows. Today is December 12th, and there are still 8 days before the Ice Age comes. For the next time, he only needs to stay at home and not go anywhere, and he can lie down and win the rest of his life. Thinking of the value of tens of billions in the different space, which includes almost all the materials needed in life, Zhang Yi's heart is very at ease. He went back to the bedroom and lay down. After a busy night in cooperating with the interrogation, he was also a little tired. This time Zhang Yi fell asleep until the evening, and turned on the TV to see that the news was broadcasting the theft of the Walmart South China warehouse. Because the material lost in this theft was too much and too bizarre, all major news stations across the country rushed to report it. Such a large warehouse was emptied within a few hours. Someone must have guarded it. It must have been done by an insider, most likely by Walmart executives themselves, in order to defraud insurance. That's millions of cubic meters of material. Even if it's pulled by a big truck, it's impossible to pull it all in one night. Zhang Yi smiled slightly. No one will know the answer to this matter until the end comes. In the next few days, Zhang Yi stayed at his home and didn't go anywhere. He knew that the time left for this world was running out. For safety's sake, he won't leave his room without authorization. During the period, investigators from the police and Walmart headquarters called him over again and questioned him. Although they also suspected that there was something wrong with Zhang Yi's behavior that night. But firstly, the investigation time was short, and secondly, there was no conclusive evidence, so they doubted it, but it was impossible to arrest Zhang Yi. During the period, some acquaintances sent messages to inquire about the inside story with Zhang Yi, but they were all fooled by Zhang Yi. Finally, the day of December 12th came. The gamma rays passed through the blue star at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it only passed for a moment, but the impact on this planet was devastating. Zhang Yi completely sealed the room a few hours in advance, and then the fireplace started to light a fire. Because before long, things like air conditioning and heating will fail completely as the energy source dries up. All heating methods can only be done through the most primitive means. At 2 o'clock, he was sitting on the sofa in front of the huge French windows, holding a bottle of beer, staring out a window. Suddenly, a white light appeared at the end of the sky. It was clearly midnight, but the earth became brighter as if at dusk. But this kind of light only lasted for a short 2 seconds, and then fell silent. Most people have already fallen asleep at this time, so they didn't notice this momentary change. But Zhang Yi, who knew what this meant, his whole back was already icy cold. He gulped down the beer, and the refreshing Budweiser brought him a little calm. Thinking about it, Zhang Yi threw a few more pieces of high-quality wood into the fireplace. He reached out and turned on the TV. While watching the programs on the TV, he waited for the changes in the world. After only a few minutes, dense snowflakes began to float in the sky outside. At first the snowflakes were only as big as a fingernail, but after less than 2 minutes, they started to turn into snowflakes. The wind outside the window began to howl, and the snow outside seemed to become terrifying in an instant. Over the entire city, heavy snow suddenly appeared. That's the power of nature not to say hello to you when it changes. Zhang Yi began to feel a little nervous. Although the safe house he built was perfect, after all, he had experienced the icy doomsday, so he would inevitably be a little worried. I don't know if this safe house, which costs up to 800 million yuan, can completely withstand the next big drop in temperature. However, as the flames blazed up in the fireplace, the temperature in the room became extremely warm. Even a little hot. Zhang Yi glanced at the indoor temperature and found that it had reached 32.6 degrees. Looking outside again, the entire city has been submerged by the overwhelming snowflakes. Zhang Yi felt more at ease. But he didn't fall asleep in a hurry, he still had to continue to observe the next changes. As for rest, there will be plenty of time later. In less than half an hour, a thick layer of snowflakes had accumulated on the balcony outside. Zhang Yi turned on his mobile phone to watch the news, and found that the news about the sudden drop in temperature had spread all over the internet. The internet is full of voices complaining about the sky. Netizens are clamoring that this year's winter has come too early, and they have not had time to prepare winter clothes. This hellish weather, why is it more than 10 degrees below zero? Tomorrow, the road will be frozen, how can I go to work? Others expressed their delight. With so much snow, I don't have to go to work tomorrow, haha. In particular, some friends from the south excitedly posted a photo of themselves in Daksu. Said that they had never seen such a heavy snow in the south. Zhang Yi shook his head, this was just the beginning. The next 3 months of heavy snow will continue, and the temperature will get lower and lower. At that time, they will not be in such a good mood to enjoy the snow. Chapter 14 Extremely Low Temperature, I Laugh at the Outside World. The Ice Age kicked off. It snowed heavily in Xianhe City in the south, and there was a lot of discussion on the internet. Some people were complaining, and some were rejoicing. But none of them knew that this heavy snowfall and cooling were not temporary, but would continue and expand. In the end, it brought a disaster that no one could bear. But at this time, Zhang Yi was lying on the sofa at home, comfortably enjoying the temperature of more than 30 degrees in the safe room, while tasting iced Budweiser, very comfortable. At this time, Zhang Yi's cell phone rang suddenly. He took it over and saw that it was people chatting in the mobile phone chat group. Among them are his former classmates, his friends, and the owners of the community. My God, why did it suddenly snow so much? The weather forecast didn't say anything. I woke up from the cold in the middle of the night, so get up and turn on the air conditioner. Don't talk about it, the air conditioner in our house is not effective in heating. It has been getting colder and colder for half a day. I don't know how long the cold weather will last. I haven't bought any winter clothes yet. Everyone talked a lot, expressing their feelings in a hurry. But Zhang Yi could feel that most people didn't take the sudden drop in temperature seriously, but were a little surprised. Zhang Yi knew very well that this was only temporary. He yawned and didn't intend to read any further. Back on his warm big bed, Zhang Yi covered himself with a velvet quilt and closed his eyes comfortably. His bed was comfortable, a high-end item brought from a Walmart warehouse. Especially the mattress, which is said to be the same model as a certain female star, worth 300 million. It was snowing goose feathers outside, the cold wind was howling, and the fireplace inside the house was burning brightly, and the temperature was pleasant. In such a comfortable environment, Zhang Yi soon fell asleep. Early the next morning, Zhang Yi was woken up by the ringtone of his mobile phone. He opened his eyes and saw that it was by Lianhu Fang Yuqing calling him. Being quarreled with a good dream, Zhang Yi's mood is naturally not very comfortable. He took the phone and asked angrily, "Hey, why are you calling me so early in the morning?" Fang Yuqing froze for a moment when she heard Zhang Yi's cold tone. But soon, she still said, "Zhang Yi, it's so cold outside today. Did you know in advance that the temperature would drop when you stockpiled supplies?" Fang Yuqing's voice trembled a little, as if she was trying to endure something. Hearing this, Zhang Yi's mouth curved into a mocking arc. Sure enough, the White Lotus went to the Three Treasures Hall for nothing. He lazily said, "I also heard it from a friend casually, but I didn't expect the temperature drop to be so severe." He lifted the quilt. The temperature in the room was so high that he was sweating a little. Zhang Yi put on his slippers and walked out. When he came to the floor-to-ceiling windows, the familiar scene in front of him caught his eyes. The heavy snow outside has flooded the entire city, and he can't see the streets and shrubs on the roadside now. Only the outlines of urban buildings could be vaguely seen, and most of the first floors of many houses were submerged. And the heavy snow is still going on. The goose feather flakes keep falling to the ground, showing no sign of stopping. On the other end of the phone, Fang Yuqing was still saying, No wonder you hoarded so many things, Zhang Yi. You really don't tell me this kind of thing in advance. Zhang Yi frowned. Unexpectedly she had the face to complain about him. He hung up the phone directly and threw the phone aside. Then, he went to the bathroom and took a comfortable hot shower. Then I took out a top quality of 5 Wagyu beef from the space, and had steak and pasta for breakfast. While eating breakfast, he turned on the TV to watch. Now that the temperature has just ushered in, there has been no power outage, so the TV can still be watched normally. But even if the power is cut off, Zhang Yi has prepared various backup power sources, as well as dozens of generators and a huge amount of gasoline. As far as energy is concerned, at least 300 years will not be a problem. After turning on the TV, Zhang Yi first tuned to the morning news channel. Although as a reborn person, he knows what's going on outside. But at this time, it is also a way of pastime to take a look at the situation outside. On the news station, the two anchors were actually wearing thick down jackets. You know, in a place like a TV station, the central air conditioner is not stingy, and it is also a place where power supply is given priority. But the anchors all need to wear down jackets, which means that the temperature has reached the point where the central air conditioner can't completely resist it. The female anchor faced the camera and tried to speak in a steady tone. Last night, a strong cold air hit all parts of the world, causing drastic changes in global temperature. The general temperature drop reached 70 to 100 degrees Celsius. As for the reason for this cold air, the meteorological department is investigating. In the next few days, I hope everyone will keep warm and avoid frostbite. If you don't have to, try not to go out. The authorities will properly resolve this issue, and I hope everyone will not panic. Don't spread rumors or believe rumors, let alone looting supplies. The snowstorm will pass soon. Hearing the female anchor's words, Zhang Yi snorted. After the advent of the Ice Age, if you want to survive, you can only rely on yourself. If you really stay at home and do nothing, you must be the first group to die. In the upper right corner of the TV, it has been shown that the outdoor temperature in Shanghai City has reached -65 degrees. You know, during the daytime yesterday, the highest temperature in Shanghai City was still 15 degrees, which means that the temperature dropped by 80 degrees at once. Zhang Yi shrugged. This level of cooling is exactly the same as in the previous life. But now he is wearing pajamas, drinking red wine and eating steak with pasta, and he doesn't feel the cold outside at all. After all, it was a safe house that cost 800 million to build, and he specially emphasized a function of heat preservation, so the temperature inside the house would hardly pass away. At this time, Zhang Yi's cell phone rang again. He was very interested and wanted to see what the neighbors who had laughed at him before were talking about. The first thing I saw was Fang Yuqing's news. Zhang Yi, why did you hang up the phone all of a sudden? There's a lot of snow outside, I can't go out. Didn't you buy a lot of food? Can you lend me some first, and I will pay you back when the snowstorm is over? Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. The White Lotus has brains, knowing that with such a heavy snow, food will become very expensive. She didn't want to go out in the ultra-low temperature of degrees, so she wanted to ask Zhang Yi for food. But Zhang Yi knew that this glacial disaster would last for a very long time, and it would not pass soon at all. Moreover, it was impossible for him to give Fang Yuqing a bite. In his previous life, he was bewitched by this White Lotus and gave her a lot of food from his home. In the end, she actually killed Zhang Yi, and even poached Zhang Yi's ribs to make soup. For such a woman, Zhang Yi just wants to tease her well, and then watch her die miserably. Thinking of this, a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he sent a message to Fang Yuqing. You said it earlier, I have almost eaten all the things I stock up at home. Look, the steak I just fried this morning. After Zhang Yi finished speaking, he took a selfie with himself and the steak and red wine on the table. He deliberately took a picture of himself in pajamas, and then sent it to Fang Yuqing. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 White Lotus Begging for Supplies. At this time, Fang Yuqing was curled up in her rented room, wrapping 2 quilts tightly around her body. Although the air conditioner has been turned on to 40 degrees, the indoor temperature can't even reach 0 degrees. She was shivering from the cold, feeling that the air was filled with cold wind pouring into the quilt. After seeing the photo sent by Zhang Yi, Fang Yuqing immediately widened her eyes. She couldn't believe that in such a cold weather, Zhang Yi was still wearing thin pajamas, eating steak and drinking Red Bull comfortably there. Obviously everyone lives in the same unit. Why does it feel like living in two worlds? Especially after seeing the delicious steak and the bottle of high-end red wine on the table, Fang Yuqing's saliva almost drools. As a top-notch White Lotus girl, she has done some research on these high-end products. According to her knowledge, the steak Zhang Yi ate was authentic top-quality Wagyu beef. Especially the French red wine in his hand, which is definitely at the top of the chateau, and a bottle costs at least, 2! Now that she is freezing to death, but Zhang Yi is living so comfortably, Fang Yuqing immediately becomes jealous to death. She immediately sent a message to Zhang Yi. That's great, people also want to eat steak and drink red wine. She felt that her hint was already very obvious. According to Zhang Yi's previous personality, he would definitely take the initiative to bring her steak and red wine at this time. But after Zhang Yi saw this sentence, he smiled happily. Do you still regard yourself as the licking dog of the past? He replied slowly with a message. If you want to eat, go to the supermarket to buy it. After Fang Yuqing saw the news, her face froze. Is not this nonsensical? It's degrees outside, and now any inch of skin that's exposed is at risk of frostbite. She is such a delicate girl, how could he make such excessive demands? Fang Yuqing gritted her teeth, and said angrily, Zhang Yi, you are really not a man. You don't know how to show yourself when you are given such a good opportunity, At this time, Fang Yuqing still had some backbone. Although she really wants to eat steak and drink high-end red wine. But in her eyes, Zhang Yi is just a fish in her fish pond. Moreover, she thinks the snowstorm will pass within a few days. Therefore, she still worked hard to maintain her image as a proud goddess, and did not take the initiative to ask Zhang Yi to give her food. Zhang Yi didn't continue to pay attention to Fang Yuqing, but went to other chat groups, intending to watch a good show. When I saw the group of owners in their community, I happened to see Aunt Lin from the neighborhood committee calling on everyone not to panic and to stay at home honestly. Everyone, don't worry, it's just a sudden drop in temperature, and it will pass in 2 or 3 days at most. Don't go loading supplies, trust our officials. Our neighborhood committee will also help you find a way to survive this snow disaster. Please obey the orders and obey the instructions, and don't cause trouble for the authorities. Some owners raised objections. Such heavy snow, I don't know when it will stop. It is troublesome for us to go out now, can we do it without stocking up on supplies at home? That's right, why don't you go out and buy some vegetables and come back? I'm afraid the prices of vegetables are going to go crazy again these days. Aunt Lin immediately accentuated her tone. What are you doing? Isn't this messing with us? Looting supplies will only lead to higher prices, and everyone will have to eat expensive dishes. If anyone dares to hoard supplies and I find out, don't blame me for reporting him to the higher authorities for disturbing people's hearts. Zhang Yi saw Aunt Lin, who was directing everyone like a leader in the group, and a sneer appeared on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. Today is the first day of the Ice Age. Because the weather outside is too cold, the supplies in the supermarket have not been snatched up yet. If you go out in heavy snow at this time, although there is a risk of frostbite, there is definitely a chance to stock up on certain supplies. However, due to the intimidation of Aunt Lin, many people took chances and did not go out to buy vegetables. One can imagine what the final result will be. At this moment, Aunt Lin suddenly pointed her finger at Zhang Yi. She met Zhang Yi in the owner group. Zhang, you stocked up a lot of things at home before. Now that the snowstorm is serious, you can't be a negative example. Stay at home honestly these few days. If I find you out shopping again, don't blame Aunt Lin for not being sympathetic. Zhang Yi's face became a little ugly. This old godly woman, because she begged for something from herself last time, she didn't give it to her. So she always kept it in her heart. This time when she found an opportunity, she would not forget to carry her gun with her stick. But it's a pity that the aunt of the neighborhood committee is nothing to Zhang Yi now. He sneered and replied, Aunt Lin, no one knows how long this snowstorm will last. If it takes a long time and everyone has nothing to eat, can you take responsibility for it? With Zhang Yi's question, it can be regarded as expressing the aspirations of many people. Everyone was dissatisfied with Aunt Lin's words, But because of Aunt Lin's status as a member of the neighborhood committee, she didn't dare to refute. With Zhang Yi taking the lead, someone immediately stood up and asked, "Yet, if you don't let us hoard supplies, who will be responsible for the lack of food and drink? Can you afford this responsibility?" Aunt Lin was a little flustered when she saw that everyone stood up to refute her. At the same time, she hated Zhang Yi even more in her heart. To openly refute her in the owner group, isn't it not giving her face? Don't worry, our neighborhood committee can tell everyone responsibly that there will be no shortage of supplies. The snow disaster will pass soon. And you, Zhang Yi, don't stir up people's hearts at this time. You are breaking the law and discipline. Aunt Lin, who was curled up at home, gritted her teeth, and said viciously, "This Zhang Yi really knows nothing about the heights of the sky and the earth, so think of a way to find a dark place to detain him for a few days." Zhang Yi laughed out loud. It's such a time, it's ridiculous that the old woman surnamed Lin still wants to be like the past, relying on her little power to be a tyrant. Hey, I can't afford such a tall hat. Don't worry, it's so cold outside, even if you ask me to go out, I won't go out. You can do whatever you want. He has already stocked up on supplies, so of course there is no need to go out and go to the supermarket with others to grab vegetable leaves. But those who believed Aunt Lin's nonsense would be miserable afterwards. Zhang Yi lamented in his heart, the end is coming. How many people will be frozen and starved to death? However, some people deserve to die, such as those neighbors who killed themselves in the previous life. Regardless of whether they are dead or alive, anyway, Zhang Yi has made up his mind to keep going. What does the life and death of other people have to do with Zhang Yi? Chapter 16 Aunt Lin Retaliation, Zhang Yi straight out. Zhang Yi sat on the sofa and yawned bored. While others are living in hunger and cold, his life is more comfortable than in heaven. The home has the most perfect insulation system, as well as an inexhaustible amount of fuel, which is enough to keep his safe house at the most comfortable constant temperature throughout the year. Then he doesn't need to do anything, he just needs to let himself live happily every day. There are no good programs on TV at this time. Various live broadcasts were also shut down due to the extreme low temperature. After all, it is impossible for his favorite beauty anchors to wear suspenders to dance in the low temperature of -102, degrees, or even more than, degrees. If there is, Zhang Yi can only give a thumbs up and boast, what a ruthless person. He opened his own different space, and there were many game consoles and 3A masterpiece games in the electronic equipment area. What about PS5 and Switch or Xbox? There are hundreds of brand new and unopened ones. As for game cassettes, there are as many as tens of thousands of sets. Zhang Yi took out a new PS5, installed it on the huge 100-inch Sony TV at home, and started playing games. He was playing this year's latest 3A action game, Bayonetta Witch 3. Also on hand are games like Elden Circle, The Witcher 3, and Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. They are all very good choices if you want to pass the time. If he dislikes the short duration of the game, there are even huge games like Civilization and City Skylines, which can make him enjoy himself. In the future, you don't need to think about work and worldly relationships. This kind of life is even more enjoyable than the one before the end of the world. Since he was at home, Zhang Yi only wore pajamas, playing games while eating snacks, having a great time. After a while, his cell phone rang. Zhang Yi took it over and took a look, and found that it was the annoying Aunt Lin from the neighborhood committee who was in the group talking to him. Zhang Yi, the roads outside are now blocked by heavy snow. Bring your tools and come out to help sweep the snow. There was an orderly tone in the words. Zhang Yi also saw that she called everyone in the group to go out to sweep the snow together, but very few people responded. Unexpectedly, she found it directly on her head. Zhang Yi glanced at the heavy snow outside the house. Almost the entire first floor was covered. It is almost a fantasy to remove the 3-meter deep snow by manpower. And Zhang Yi also knew that the snow would last for at least 3 more months. Going out to sweep the snow now, it is not falling as fast as it is. Zhang Yi immediately refused. In such cold weather, it will freeze into popsicle after a while. Even if you sweep the snow, you have to wait until the snow stops. Some people also echoed Zhang Yi. That's right, it's -70 degrees outside, so if you go out for a while, you'll probably get frostbite. Our place is not on the northeast, and we don't have any decent cold-proof equipment at all. How can we get out? Aunt Lin became anxious on the spot. What's your attitude? The snow removal is not for me, isn't it for everyone? You are all young and strong guys. How can you avoid disasters if you don't take the initiative to serve the people? She pointed the finger at Zhang Yi, who took the lead in opposing her. Zhang Yi, in the name of the neighborhood committee, I order you to go out to sweep the snow. Now is a time of crisis. We must unite and follow the command of the organization. Anyone who dares to take the lead in opposing me is opposing the leadership of the neighborhood committee. After the snow disaster is over, they will definitely be liquidated by the organization. Antlin once again moved out of her identity as a member of the neighborhood committee. The owners immediately dared not speak out. Now that the snow disaster has just arrived, various social orders still exist, and no one dares to violate them. Don't look at the people in these neighborhood committees who seem to have little power, but because of the little power in their hands, they are closely related to everyone on weekdays, so no one dares to provoke them. Everyone is silent, and no one wants to be this early bird. However, many people hope that Zhang Yi will stand up and hate Antlin fiercely, and let him be the one who speaks for everyone. Of course Zhang Yi knew what these ostriches were thinking. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he despised them extremely in his heart. But it was impossible for him to swallow his anger. So he decided to break up with Antlin directly. He looked through the chat records above. Antlin 8's people are all young people in the community who are usually easy to talk to. And those troublesome thorns, or powerful people, she ignored them all. So Zhang Yi mocked directly. Antlin is right, since it is for everyone, people from your neighborhood committee should take the lead in sweeping the snow. And you're young and strong, there are so many people in our community, why did you only call us a few? Do you think we are easy to bully? Those social people and the rich second generation didn't see you. 8. Why, you can't even fart when you meet them. Seeing what Zhang Yi said, the other owners nodded in satisfaction. Zhang Yi is really my internet mouthpiece. That's right, they are all honest people. Why don't you go to Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao? Everyone knows who those people Zhang Yi mentioned are. They all live in the same community, and there are no powerful people in it, and everyone knows who they are. For example, Chen Zhanghao, who lives in 601 on the 6th floor, is a well-known social elder brother who works on earthwork projects and has hundreds of people under his command. Another example is Su Hao from 8 on the 802nd floor. His father is a well-known big developer in Xianhe City, and there are people who work in the government at home. From the beginning to the end, Antlin didn't mention the two of them a word. Zhang Yi directly exposed Antlin's bullying nature, which made Antlin lose face immediately. She didn't mention those few people who were not easy to mess with. It was because she didn't have the guts, and they wouldn't bother her at all. People like them have always been bullying. If Zhang Yi had this kind of personality before, Antlin would not let him sweep the snow here. She felt that she had lost face, and angrily sent several long voices in the group. Snow removal is a public service, and it is for everyone's sake. Some people just care about such a small matter, and they have no dedication at all. Such a person is simply the black sheep of our owner group. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. Some people do it. Everyone's awareness is much higher than yours. Also, I'm not trying to be special to some people. It's just that there's no need for 8s one by one. I hope you can figure it out and don't make mistakes. If you publish these words to slander me again, I will call the police. On the contrary, Antlin's explanation was getting darker and darker. Especially in the end, even claiming to call the police made Zhang Yi roar with laughter. When the other owners heard Antlin's words, the timid ones were already a little scared, and took tools to sweep the snow. But at this time Zhang Yi was not afraid of her at all. Leaving aside her unreasonable behavior, the police will not support it at all. Besides, she didn't think that all kinds of social machines were working normally, did she? Chapter 17. Zhang Yi took Antlin's words as fart. However, he was also idle when he was idle, intending to tease the old woman. Oh, Antlin is so swollen. You are so capable, go ask Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao to go downstairs to sweep the snow. He called names in the group, without any regard for anyone's face. Chen Zhanghao, nicknamed Brother Hao, is a well-known social gangster. It was he who held the head of the mountain axe belt when he broke into their house. Su Hao, the arrogant and domineering rich second generation, was the first person to attack Zhang Yi. In short, except for a few good people, the rest of these neighbors participated in the attack or robbery on Zhang Yi. He could even guess that after his death in his previous life, each of them got his share. So Zhang Yi didn't give anyone face, just tore off their fig leaf so nakedly, disgusting them. Aunt Lin looked at her phone, her face suddenly changed. Zhang Yi's name-calling made it difficult for her to get off. To put it bluntly, if she is cowardly at this time, she will definitely become everyone's laughingstock. And no one will listen to her orders in the future. She had no choice but to join Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao in the group. Family, the community is my home, and it depends on everyone to sweep the snow. I hope that family members who are free can bring tools and go out to sweep the snow together. After a while, Chen Zhanghao with ID 25 number 602 sent several question marks. Then, a voice was posted in the group. Sweep the snow, sweep your head. Are you blind? Didn't you see that there is still so much snow outside? Fuck, is there something wrong with your brain? If you're sick, go to the hospital and don't bark like a dog here. I'll kill you, don't you believe it? Chen Zhanghao scolded Aid and his Aunt Lin very badly. After hearing this, the owners in the group were all happy to cover their stomachs and laugh. This Aunt Lin took herself as a character, but people didn't take her seriously at all. A small member of the neighborhood committee has a little influence on ordinary homeowners. People in this kind of society don't treat her like an onion. The rich second-generation Su Hao also sent a voice. You sweeping snow is none of my business. I don't need to go to work, so it doesn't matter if I sleep at home every day. After he finished speaking, he also posted a picture of himself lying under a thick quilt with a woman in his arms. This house was only bought by Su Hao to raise a woman, and he happened to be imprisoned here as well. When Aunt Li asked him to sweep the snow, he felt that this woman was mentally ill. Aunt Lin was so scolded by Chen Zhanghao that she didn't dare to speak back. How dare she provoke the real ruthless people? But seeing Su Hao being so provocative, she said stubbornly, you are also a member of the owner anyway. Sweeping snow is your duty. Su Hao said disdainfully, bah. I pay the property fee every month. Is it for nothing? Without my money, you people in the neighborhood committee will starve to death. Damn, take the owner's money every day to act like a boss, and even treat yourself as the owner. Funny. None of those rich second generations are simple. Although Su Hao is idle, he has seen the world. The little ant of the neighborhood committee will not be taken seriously at all. After he finished speaking, he taunted proudly, I can have what I am today, relying on the energy of my parents and family. Can I be the same as you poor people? Hurry up, those who want to sweep the snow, you still have to go out to earn money for food. After sweeping the snow, I can leave this ghost place. Everyone was extremely angry when they heard Su Hao's arrogant words. But they were powerless to refute. Who makes people reincarnate better? Although those words are harsh, they are not true. The quarrel between Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao completely chilled everyone. Aunt Lin's words became bullshit, and no one paid any attention to it. Aunt Lin was furious. But she was not angry with Chen Zhanghao and Su Hao in her heart, but angry with Zhang Yi. She felt that she had succeeded in mobilizing the owners, and it was Zhang Yi, the shit-stirring stick, who ruined her. So she sent a private message to Zhang Yi, and asked very angrily, Zhang Yi, are you deliberately trying to make things difficult for me? Tell me what you want to do. I asked everyone to go out to sweep the snow. Does everyone need to go out? It's alright now, everyone is quitting. Are we going to stay locked at home forever? Zhang Yi frowned. Yo, there are also people who come to your door to scold you? Don't you fucking pretend to be garlic for me. It's not a thing to bully the weak and fear the hard. Why are you still here? You don't even dare to fart when you are scolded by others. You came to me to find a sense of existence, right? Tell you, your grandpa is not easy to bully. Bark at me again, be careful that I will kill you. Zhang Yi has a good grasp of Aunt Lin's character. It's just a waste that bullies the weak and fears the strong. Sure enough, after Zhang Yi uttered such harsh words, Aunt Lin was terrified. She is an old woman living with her grandson, and it is because of her status as a neighborhood committee that someone gives her face. But if someone else disregarded his status as a neighborhood committee and fought her with his life, she would not be enough for others to beat her up. She didn't dare to speak immediately, as if she was afraid of really angering Zhang Yi. Aunt Lin quickly blocked Zhang Yi, for fear that Zhang Yi would spray her again. Her body was shaking, she didn't know whether it was because of the cold or because Zhang Yi was frightened. This bastard. You're just a jerk, crazy. Don't provoke him now, wait, I have plenty of ways to make your life difficult. Aunt Lin thought in her mind that in the future, she would use her identity as a neighborhood committee to make things difficult for Zhang Yi. For example, when distributing daily necessities, Zhang Yi was deliberately dragged. Or if there are any good community activities, don't tell Zhang Yi. She imagined Zhang Yi's remorse at that time, and even thought that Zhang Yi would come and beg her to let her go, but she closed the door coldly and said, "Aren't you very arrogant? You are so arrogant." After thinking about it, Aunt Lin smiled beautifully. "Hey, sooner or later there will be a day when you come to beg me. I don't know you as well now." Aunt Lin was satisfied with this method of Aku's spiritual victory. Then she continued to run into the group to mobilize others to go out and sweep the snow. Although the big guy looks down on Aunt Lin very much, however, most people have to go out to work in the future. Considering the problem of their own travel, there are still some honest people who take tools and brave the severe cold of -70 degrees to go out to sweep snow. Zhang Yi didn't expect that Aunt Lin just scolded and ran away. And someone came to make trouble over there. This time, his wretched call was called. He glanced at the profile picture. It was Chen Zhanghao from the group. It seems that just now Zhang Yi talked about him in the group, which made him feel uncomfortable, so he called to scare Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi originally held resentment towards this bastard, but when he saw him calling, he immediately narrowed his eyes. Now, he really hopes that this short-sighted thing will come and trouble him. After all, it is impossible for Zhang Yi to get out of this safe house. But if anyone dares to come here to find trouble, he has a lot of means to make that person die a very miserable death. So Zhang Yi connected the phone. Chapter 18. As soon as the phone was connected, there was a wave of vicious curses pouring over there. "Are you fucking looking for death? Who told you to talk about me in the group? Dare to mess with me, Chen Zhanghao, you little bastard. It looks like you don't want to live anymore. I have 100 ways to make you unable to stay in this city, believe it or not." Chen Zhanghao is also a well-known bully in Xianhe City. He has hundreds of people under his command. It is said that he has committed several life lawsuits. Therefore, he lived in a community with him, and all the owners avoided him, and no one dared to provoke him. In order to establish this prestige, Chen Zhanghao's style of doing things is that whoever dares to offend him a little bit, he will make that person pay a huge price. This is the face of the so-called social man. Therefore, even if Zhang Yi only mentioned him in the owner group, it was still regarded as a provocation by Chen Zhanghao. On the other end of the phone, he scolded fiercely, "You really want to die? I'm pretty good at beeping, I'm kind. Take me as an example." Of course Zhang Yi would not spoil him. He sneered and scolded, "What kind of cunt are you? Don't play tricks on me here, a social scum, useless waste, call you a horse, call you a horse." Zhang Yi cursed loudly, feeling extremely happy in his heart. For this murderer who took the lead in breaking into his house in his previous life and killed him, he has long been holding back his anger. On the other end of the phone, Chen Zhanghao didn't expect that Zhang Yi would dare to talk back. He was furious and scolded even more harshly. Zhang Yi said directly, "You are a useless piece of trash, you only play with your mouth here, right? Who are you scaring? Go eat shit." After scolding, Zhang Yi hung up the phone and blocked him. After scolding, he blocked him. Thinking of Chen Zhanghao's furious look over there, Zhang Yi felt extremely happy in his heart. He walked to the TV, reached out and turned on the monitoring probe. When Zhanlong Security Company built a safe house for him, cameras were installed on the entire floor. It can be said that the entire building is now under his surveillance. Zhang Yi looked at the 6th floor where Chen Zhanghao was, and sure enough, the door of their house was pushed open very quickly. Wearing a down jacket, Chen Zhanghao walked out aggressively with a baseball bat in his hand. As a result, as soon as he went out, he immediately shrank from the cold. It was more than -70 degrees outside, and he actually wore a down jacket and autumn clothes to put on airs. He also deliberately opened the zipper to reveal the tattoo on his chest. As a result, the freezing temperature taught him a lesson immediately. Seeing that there was no one around, Chen Zhanghao quickly rubbed his hands, and hurriedly got on the elevator. Zhang Yi sat on the sofa, and picked up a crossbow from under the coffee table in a leisurely manner. This kind of hand crossbow is used for hunting. Even if it is a 300-kilogram wild boar, if it is shot once, a 20-centimeter crossbow arrow can be shot directly into the meat. While humming, he installed the crossbow bolts. After this period of practice, he has become very proficient in using the crossbow. Within 15 meters, not to mention 100 shots, but a head as big as a watermelon still won't miss it. The elevator kept going up, and Zhang Yi came to the door with a loaded hand crossbow. His huge safety gate has special shooting holes in the 2-meter high place above it. Zhang Yi stepped on the chair and opened the door on the shooting hole. It can only be opened from the inside. Then he aimed the crossbow at the corridor outside. For safety's sake, Zhang Yi's pistol was also in his pocket. Even if this Chen Zhanghao is an Iron Man, he would be unlucky to come here today. After a while, the sound of the elevator sounded, and Chen Zhanghao walked over from the elevator cursing. Through the remarks of the owner group, he can easily know where Zhang Yi lives. When he came to the door, he picked up the baseball bat and slammed on the door while cursing. Zhang Yi, come out to me, your grandson. Damn it, weren't you really awesome just now? Now that someone has the guts to show up, let's see how I kill you. Chen Zhanghao cursed viciously, and then slammed on the door forcefully. But the safety door was, centimeters thick, and it was equipped with bulletproof metal. In terms of defense, it was stronger than some large tanks. Of course, Chen Zhanghao couldn't smash it with a baseball bat, but it made his hands ache from the shock. Chen Zhanghao was cursing, but he didn't notice that he had been targeted with a crossbow. Looking at Chen Zhanghao's ferocious look, Zhang Yi showed a playful smile at the corner of his mouth. His crossbow arrow aimed at Chen Zhanghao's head. But after thinking for a while, he changed his aim. In this kind of doomsday, except for him, everyone else in the entire building will basically die. People like Chen Zhanghao are no exception. It would be so boring to kill him now. After all, in his previous life, he was eaten alive by these crazy neighbors. A smirk appeared on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. He won't let this bastard die so easily. So Zhang Yi changed his goal. There was only a slight sound of piercing through the air, and the sharp crossbow shot directly at Chen Zhanghao's leg. The crossbow arrow that could shoot wild boars directly penetrated his calf. Chen Zhanghao uttered a shrill scream, then fell to the ground, hugging his legs and howling. Suffering a penetrating injury at such a low temperature of -70 degrees, Chen Zhanghao's leg must have been useless. And because of the lack of medicines, infections are inevitable. Next, he will die miserably in pain and cold. Chen Zhanghao was in extreme pain at this moment, and only then did he realize that he had met a terrifying and ruthless person. In fact, these hooligans rely on their unsparing strength of not being afraid of death and macing around. The bet is that those honest people dare not resist them. But when they meet ruthless people who dare to play with crossbows, they will also be afraid in their hearts. Chen Zhanghao was so frightened that he couldn't even see where the arrow came from. However, he was worthy of being a ruthless person in the society, so he ran back to the elevator with a broken leg. Zhang Yi did not choose to continue to shoot. The reason is very simple, he wanted Chen Zhanghao to live for a while. After all, he is not a devil. After Chen Zhanghao ran back to the elevator, he was sweating profusely, and quickly froze at the low temperature of -70 degrees. But at this moment, his heart was colder than the temperature of the air. The opponent's merciless attack just now made him feel the naked killing intent. In today's society, no one who dares to shoot people with a crossbow is easy to mess with. Chen Zhanghao looked at his crippled leg, and the entire calf was completely penetrated by the crossbow arrow. The blood stained half of the trouser legs red, and then ice formed. Under the ultra-low temperature, his pain sensation was not so strong. But this did not make Chen Zhanghao feel lucky. On the contrary, he was terrified. He knew that if this situation continued, if his leg was not healed, it would be useless within half an hour. Chapter 19 I'll give you an ice bath. Chen Zhanghao finally felt afraid. He took out his mobile phone and called 120. But the phone couldn't be reached all the time. Chen Zhanghao called for more than 2 minutes, and it showed that the line was busy. Chen Zhanghao's heart went cold. At this time, the outside world was freezing cold, and even the hospital was in a state of shutdown. Even if some hospitals still insist on operating, it is impossible to send an ambulance to save people because of the heavy snow outside, and the city is closed. Chen Zhanghao is also a ruthless person. After hesitating for a long time, he decided to operate on himself. At the very least, this crossbow bolt has to be taken out. After returning home with difficulty, he took out a knife, alcohol lamp, gauze and drugs to stop bleeding from the drawer. He fights with others a lot on weekdays, so naturally these things are always kept at home. Chen Zhanghao cut open the trouser leg with a knife, and when he saw the wound, his face turned pale with fright. Under the extreme cold and low temperature, the wound on his leg had already frozen. Although this temporarily stops the flow of blood. But around the wound, it had already started to turn purple, and the calf was completely numb. All thoughts in Chen Zhanghao's heart were lost. He knew that at such a time, he could only save himself. Fortunately, he is a ruthless person from the society. After thinking for a while, he performed the operation on himself. Since the calf had been damaged by the frost, the pain was much numb under the low temperature. So even without anesthesia, he successfully completed the operation. However, during this process, due to the pain, he almost passed out. And that calf was obviously useless too. Chen Zhanghao was lying on the sofa, panting heavily, hating Zhang Yi, who shot him with an arrow in his heart. "Zhang Yi, you brat with small arms, I will definitely kill you, definitely." Chen Zhanghao's eyes were full of killing intent. He is not joking, but really intends to kill Zhang Yi. Otherwise, how will he mess around in Xianhe City in the future? Chen Zhanghao picked up his phone, because he was blocked by Zhang Yi, so he had no choice but to hit Zhang Yi in the owner group. "Zhang Yi, you son of a bitch, you wait for me. If you don't kill me, I will write the 3 words Chen Zhanghao backwards." The owners didn't really know what was going on. But after learning that Zhang Yi had offended Chen Zhanghao, he couldn't help but sweat for him. Chen Zhanghao is a true hooligan, he is ruthless. However, if everyone knew that Zhang Yi had shot him with an arrow and crippled his leg, they would be too scared to speak. However, some people were very excited. For example, Aunt Lin, who was deflated because of Zhang Yi before, said happily, "It's best for a dog to bite a dog." HMPH, neither of them is a good thing. It's better to let that gangster Chen Zhanghao beat Zhang Yi to death, and let this damn thing scold me. And Bai Lianhu Fang Yuqing also saw the news in the group. She curled her lips, hoping that Zhang Yi would be dealt with by Chen Zhanghao. Who made Zhang Yi treat her so indifferently that he didn't even know how to obediently deliver something to her, a goddess? However, no one in the group dared to speak out, for fear that this matter would implicate themselves. Zhang Yi burst out laughing when he saw the news. As long as he doesn't leave the safe house, he doesn't pay attention to 100 Chen Zhanghao. Zhang Yi sent a voice message to the phone. "What kind of thing are you? You only know how to bark. If you dare to mess with me again, your remaining leg will also be crippled." The owners in the group were in an uproar when they heard this voice. They didn't expect that Zhang Yi would dare to oppose Chen Zhanghao. Moreover, it seemed that one of Chen Zhanghao's legs was injured. Chen Zhanghao held the phone so tightly that he almost broke it. "Zhang Yi of the grass mud horse, you wait for me, I will definitely kill you." Zhang Yi is also unceremonious. "You dog, come here if you have the guts. Let's see who dies first." I have to say that after the end of the world, Zhang Yi is also very relaxed. Without so many scruples about public order, good customs and social morality, now he doesn't need to give face to anyone, it's just cool. On the other side, Chen Zhanghao's lungs were about to explode. After returning to the house, relying on the insignificant effect of the air conditioner, I gradually regained consciousness. But the severe pain in his leg made him grin his teeth. Now if you want to move, you can only rely on crutches. After thinking carefully for a while, Chen Zhanghao felt that it would not be difficult for him to kill Zhang Yi. He thought he had been shot with an arrow, only because of carelessness. Now that I am prepared, I can call my younger brother over, rush into Zhang Yi's house, and beat him to death. Anyway, it was freezing outside, and the hospital and the police station were all in a state of shutdown. If you want to kill someone, now is the best time. Chen Zhanghao immediately called his younger brothers and asked them to bring guys over to help him kill Zhang Yi. Many of Chen Zhanghao's younger brothers live nearby. After receiving Chen Zhanghao's order, they brought machetes, baseball bats, steel pipes and other objects to Chen Zhanghao's house. Seeing the injury on Chen Zhanghao's leg, these younger brothers all clamored to beat that man to death, to express their anger for Chen Zhanghao. Chen Zhanghao said coldly, "I'm fine. After a few days the snow will melt. I'll be fine in the hospital for a while. But this bastard dared to shoot me. Isn't this breaking ground on Tai Sui's head? If you don't kill him, what will I, Chen Zhanghao, do in the future?" The younger brother under him said at that time, "Brother Hao, tell me how good his room number is, and I will chop him up now." Chen Zhanghao nodded. They live in 2401 of this building, but this brat with small arms is very sinister and has a hand crossbow in his hand. He is the one who attacked me with a hand crossbow. The younger brother held up a steel pipe and yelled, "This man is too unskilled in martial arts. He actually plays sneak attack." Chen Zhanghao said, "Be careful when you go there, I know he is the only one in their house. Just don't let him shoot, break open the door of their house, and kill him casually. Chen Zhanghao's younger brothers are all desperados. Although they know that Zhang Yi has weapons, they are not afraid. Instead, they became excited one by one. Now that the city is closed due to snowstorms and there is no law, they can come to beat people openly. The malice in human nature was unscrupulously released on them. So, they took the guy and went to Zhang Yi's house together, trying to break in. And Zhang Yi also knew that Chen Zhanghao would not give up so easily, and would definitely come to take revenge. However, there was no tension in Zhang Yi's heart. He was at home, playing the game, while using the split screen to check the movement in the whole building. When Chen Zhanghao's little Karamas came over, he saw them clearly. The table in front of him is full of equipment, waiting for them to give them a good look after they come to the door. Anyway, those social scum deserve to die, and Zhang Yi will not have any soft-hearted thoughts. After a while, a dozen of Chen Zhanghao's subordinates arrived at the door of Zhang Yi's house. They knew that Zhang Yi had a crossbow in his hand, so they were a little careful when they came over. Several little Karami held wooden planks in their hands as shields in front of them. After arriving at the door of Zhang Yi's house, they found out that nothing was wrong before starting to do it. Open the door. You idiot, dare to shoot our brother how? Let's see if we don't kill you today. Today next year will be your death day, open the door. While they were swearing, they started to smash the door of Zhang Yi's house with the hammers and iron rods they brought. Wanting to break in, give Zhang Yi a hard lesson, and then hand it over to Chen Zhanghao. Zhang Yi played the game without any haste. He just happened to be stuck at the boss of the first level, died 7 or 8 times without passing, and he was in a bad mood at this time. Hearing the yelling outside and the knocking on the door, Zhang Yi yelled angrily, "Can't you use some strength? You haven't eaten." When those little Karamas heard Zhang Yi being so arrogant, they immediately became more angry, and their attacks became more serious. However, the safety door made of alloy 20 centimeters thick is difficult to open even with small blasts. Not to mention that they used the original smashing method to break the door. After working hard for a long time, a few small white spots appeared on the metal door, and the paint was just peeling off. Not to mention breaking the door, it didn't even sink in. Those little Karami were all dumbfounded. Fuck, this door is actually made of pure metal. It's still so thick, how can it be smashed? Steamer, how many enemies does this person have? A group of little Karami looked dumbfounded. But when they came, they made a promise with Chen Zhanghao that they would beat Zhang Yi half to death and bring him back. Now they couldn't break the door, and they couldn't go back to work, so they kept beating, smashing and yelling outside the door. Zhang Yi's game character died again. He finally got a little annoyed when he heard little Karami's cry outside. He went to the kitchen, connected a hose to the tap, and climbed up the firing port. No one noticed the little Karami outside the door, and the dog was still barking there. Zhang Yi sneered, then turned on the faucet, pointed at them and bared at them. The turbulent water flowed like a torrential rain in the narrow corridor, and instantly drenched their bodies. Chapter 20. Can you imagine what it feels like to be poured with cold water at -70 degrees? Zhang Yi took a large water pipe and poured it on the little Karami outside the door. There is a temperature difference of about, degrees between indoor and outdoor. So when the water flowed out, it was still steaming, but after it fell on those people, it quickly froze. It was freezing cold, and they were all wearing down jackets and sweaters. The cold water soaked their whole bodies, making them feel as if they had been put into an ice cellar. Damn it! It's so cold, it's freezing me to death. Don't water it, don't water it. At such a time, they would rather be severely beaten than endure this freezing torture. All of them were so cold that their lips turned purple, and some even went into shock on the spot due to the excessive low temperature. Relying on instinct, they quickly ran away from the door of Zhang Yi's house. But in just 10 seconds, it was enough to make their whole bodies drenched. Before he even had time to get on the elevator and escape, his clothes were already frozen hard. Zhang Yi watched them all run away, and then turned off the tap. He had planned to teach these people a lesson with a hand crossbow just now. However, the loading speed is too slow, and the opponent may counterattack through the shooting hole. On the contrary, this kind of flood irrigation has a better effect. After those little Karamis were chilled by Zhang Yi, all of them were so cold that their lips turned purple. They hurried back to Chen Zhanghao's house. When Chen Zhanghao saw them coming back in a state of distress, he couldn't help being furious. Where's that little bastard? Have you caught him yet? And those younger brothers hurriedly searched for quilts and sheets to keep warm. The clothes on them were all soaked, and they were all frozen into ice balls. More than a dozen people were scrambling for clothes and quilts in the room. However, because there were too many people and there were not enough items, the younger brothers had no choice but to take off their clothes and hug each other to keep warm. That picture is somewhat weird. This made Chen Zhanghao so angry that he slapped the table vigorously and cursed, "Who'll explain to me what is going on?" After the younger brothers recovered a little body temperature, they explained the ins and outs to Chen Zhanghao tremblingly. "That Zhang Yi is too despicable, he even barked us with a water pipe. I can't bear it at all. I don't know how thick the door of their house is. We smashed it for a long time and only a little paint fell off." After Chen Zhanghao listened, he frowned deeply. When he knocked on the door himself, he really felt that the door of Zhang Yi's house was very thick. It seems that it is difficult to attack by force. But soon, he sneered. "It doesn't matter, even if their family is an Iron King, there will always be flaws. And I don't believe that he can stay at home forever. The few of you are guarding nearby, as soon as he goes out, beat him to death immediately," Chen Zhanghao said viciously. His younger brothers are also outlaws. Hearing this, they all sneered tremblingly. Although each of them has been frozen like a dog, they still have to show that they are very fierce. However, they never imagined that Zhang Yi had no intention of leaving home at all. It was hell outside, but his room was heaven. How can there be any reason to go from heaven to hell? After tidying up Chen Zhanghao and others, Zhang Yi continued to go back and play his games. Although they knew that these guys would not let it go, they didn't have the ability to break into their own homes. As for going out, Zhang Yi wouldn't make this choice if he was killed. Even if there is only 1/10,000th risk, he will not take it. Wouldn't it be nice to live so comfortably at home? Soon after, Zhang Yi came to the floor-to-ceiling window to check the scene outside. There are actually people with tools to sweep the snow. He seemed to have seen Uncle Yu, the security guard, an upright and enthusiastic veteran who was always the first to rush when encountering problems. The dozen or so people downstairs are all talkative young people in the owner group. However, Aunt Lin and other members of the neighborhood committee did not see a single shadow. Facing a thick layer of snow 2 or 3 meters high, they dug hard. However, Zhang Yi knew that doing so was completely useless. Among other things, just to dig a road from downstairs to the gate of the community would take a whole day of digging. But what if you dig through it? The road outside is also completely covered. Such thick snow can only be cleared slowly by professional-level large-scale snow plows. But in the south, there is no such professional vehicle at all. Going out has become an impossible thing. What's more, it is impossible for them to last long in the weather of more than -70 degrees. The cold protection equipment can't keep up, and the physical fitness can't adapt to the low temperature. If you stay outdoors for half an hour, there is a risk of frostbite. Zhang Yi shook his head. These honest people are really pitiful. But Zhang Yi didn't bother to say anything about his own choice. After all, now, everything has nothing to do with him, he just wants to live well. Time comes to afternoon. Zhang Yi felt a little hungry, so he took out a big meal from the different space. The food is relatively simple, just a plate of ale long, a Wellington steak, 2 Huangshan biscuits and a bottle of Coke. There are many such delicacies in his space. Now staying at home every day, Zhang Yi's work and rest have become more free. In short, sleep when you are sleepy, eat when you are hungry, and there is no need to distinguish between day and night. The heavy snow outside the window is still falling. Zhang Yi took the time to glance at the underside of the unit building in the community. Those who cleared the snow all went back. And they spent a long time, clearing out an open space, which was soon covered by heavy snow again. Presumably they also realized that, with their own strength alone, they were powerless against nature. Zhang Yi was lying on the sofa in autumn clothes. The temperature in the room was 27 degrees Celsius, which was comfortable and pleasant. He turned on the TV and watched the programs on the TV. Now many TV stations across the country have directly stopped broadcasting, and only some provincial-level channels and CCTV are still broadcasting. Among them are some slogans to promote official work and encourage everyone. At this moment, our eyes are set on Shengjing. The officials are strategizing and directing us to launch the final attack against the snow disaster. According to reports, due to the ineffective prevention and control of the snowstorm in the rice country, million people have been affected and tens of millions of people have died. The development of snow disasters in our country is within a controllable range, and everything is developing for the better. I hope everyone will not be nervous and panic, and believe in the power of the authorities." Zhang Yi shook his head. The magnitude and horror of this snow disaster is unimaginable to human beings. Although the government is working hard to solve the problem, human power is too weak in front of nature. Chapter 21 White Lotus with Green Tea. In the group of owners, Aunt Lin can still be seen chattering and shouting. "Have you seen the news? Our country has the power to deal with the snow disaster. Don't be nervous, everything will be solved. Well, if anyone needs supplies at home, everyone can help as much as possible. After all, this snowstorm will pass soon, and there is no need to hoard supplies." However, very few people responded to her. Obviously, it has been 2 days, and the snow disaster has not shown any signs of ending, which makes many people start to worry. Fang Yuqing sent Zhang Yi a message again. "Zhang Yi, are you okay?" Zhang Yi frowned. Fang Yuqing probably felt that Chen Zhanghao took care of her. However, he didn't think Fang Yuqing was out of kindness. "I'm fine." "Oh, all right." Fang Yuqing was actually a little disappointed in her heart. But soon, she said, "Our family is out of food. I remember you bought a lot of things. Can you give me some? I'll treat you to dinner sometime later." There was a sneer on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. Sure enough, this woman must have a purpose in looking for her. He remembered that when he went shopping in the supermarket last time, Fang Yuqing and Lin Keining also bought some by the way. Although he didn't buy as much as he did, it didn't mean that he couldn't last 2 days. "Oh, what you said was a long time ago. I didn't keep those things at home. In fact, I don't have many things at home." Fang Yuqing still refused to give up. "Then give me a few packs of instant noodles, right? You are in charge of the warehouse, can you eat less at home?" Zhang Yi is very bachelor. "There are no instant noodles anymore. You see, I can only eat these usually." Facing the table, he took a photo of the Australian dragon and steak and sent it to Fang Yuqing. Fang Yuqing over there saw this photo, her eyebrows raised in anger. "Damn Zhang Yi, what do you mean? Are you trying to annoy me?" On the side, her best friend Lin Keining poked her head out from under the blanket. Because it was too cold, the two of them slept in the same bed. As soon as Lin Keining saw the delicious food in the photo, her greedy eyes turned green. These little fairies don't know how to cook at all on weekdays. They all order takeout, or ask men to treat them to dinner. The city has been sealed off by heavy snow for the past few days, but it made the two of them very hungry. "I can only eat some instant noodles and canned food that I don't like to eat on weekdays." Seeing that Zhang Yi can still eat Australian dragon and steak, the two women were angry and envious. Angry, because Zhang Yi actually ate alone, and didn't want to send them some. Lin Keining immediately said sourly, "Wow, this Zhang Yi is too much. There are such delicious food on the house, I didn't even think of you. It's a pity that he always said he likes you in the past. HMPH, I think he is completely hypocritical." Fang Yuqing was also very unhappy. It wasn't the first time Zhang Yi sent her photos. She also knew that Zhang Yi was provoking her on purpose. However, she thinks that Zhang Yi still likes her, but Xiang uses this method in exchange for her compromise. HMPH, stupid. It's just a little bit of food, do you want me to be your girlfriend? Zhang Yi, you are so naive. Fang Yuqing's mouth was dismissive. As a proud fishing girl, of course she has to maintain her noble image. But looking at the photos sent by Zhang Yi, the longing in her eyes is so unconcealable. Lin Keining naturally understood her. So he said, "Yuqing, otherwise you can tell Zhang Yi that you can have dinner with him. But he needs to provide the food. In this way, you can not only save your face, but also eat delicious Australian dragon and steak." I believe he will be excited and agree immediately. Fang Yuqing frowned and thought about it. Zhang Yi is just a high-level spare tire in her heart. Although he is handsome and has some property, he is still far from the tall, rich and handsome in her mind. Normally, it is absolutely impossible for her to bow her head. But now, she really can't bear to eat instant noodles and canned food every day. Then give him a chance to eat with me. Fang Yuqing curled her lips and said reluctantly. She picked up her phone and sent a message to Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, it's been a long time since we got together. Why don't you come to our house to have a meal together tonight?" Zhang Yi laughed when he saw the news. "Would you like to invite me to dinner?" "Yes, thank you then." This sentence made Fang Yuqing on the other end of the phone turn pale with anger. But it could also be freezing. She said to Lin Caning angrily, "This Zhang Yi doesn't know what to do. I gave him a chance to treat me to dinner, but he actually asked me to treat him." Lin Caning was stunned for a moment. She didn't seem to expect that Zhang Yi, who had been pursuing Fang Yuqing in the past, suddenly became so ignorant at this moment. Strange, is there a day when dog licking will be awakened? Fang Yuqing has already thrown the phone aside angrily. She said angrily, "This Zhang Yi, I originally planned to keep him as my spare tire. Now his order with me has to be one row behind. I'm really angry this time. From now on, I will never say a word to him again. It will be useless even if he comes to beg me." Although Li Caning was greedy, she also added oil and vinegar to the side. "That's right, I don't even look at my own virtues. Want to chase you, but still be so stingy? This kind of man deserves to be single for the rest of his life." The two continued to scold Zhang Yi for a while together. During the period, Fang Yuqing picked up her mobile phone, thinking that Zhang Yi would send a message to apologize. But Zhang Yi didn't have any news, and she was so angry that her face was gloomy. But Lin Caning had a bad idea. She secretly sent a message to Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, why are you so stupid? Now Yuqing is unhappy. Do you know how serious the problem is?" After Zhang Yi received the news, he glanced at it habitually. For him now, watching news from various chat groups has become a way of having fun. What else can be more exciting than the humanity in the doomsday? Finding that the message was from Lin Caning, Zhang Yi glanced at it, and then he laughed. "One is a bad face, the other is a red face, right? You two really have a lot of scenes." Zhang Yi had already seen through this combination of green tea and white lotus. Usually, Lin Caning's moves are to help Fang Yuqing to cooperate. Because Fang Yuqing needs to maintain the image of a pure goddess. So things like asking for gifts and implying that the man spent money on Fang Yuqing's behalf were all Lin Caning's talking. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. Zhang Yi pretended to be blank and said, "What's wrong? I didn't do anything bad." Lin Caning said, "Are you stupid? Now that the city is closed by heavy snow, our family has almost enough food to eat. Send some delicious food here at this time. Isn't it just a good time to express your loyalty to Yuqing? If I were you, I would send all the good things like steaks and lobsters from home. As soon as Yuqing is moved, won't your chances be great?" Looking at the message from Lin Caning, Zhang Yi could already imagine the greedy look of that fishing girl. He sneered. What is the difference between this behavior and begging? But the ridiculous thing is that if you want to eat, you have to eat, and you have to put on a look of charity. It was as if Zhang Yi gave them food, but they gave Zhang Yi a chance instead. This kind of face made Zhang Yi really want to slap them a few times. Scumbag. Zhang Yi decided to tease these two green tea whores. He said, "But we don't have much food at home. It's just enough for me to eat." Lin Caning frowned, and immediately criticized, "Stupid. The snowstorm can last for a few days, you endure 2 meals of hunger, and then tricked Yuqing into your hands. Wouldn't you make a lot of money? Even reluctant to part with such a little thing, I don't think you are sincere to our family Yuqing at all." Zhang Yi laughed even harder. One of these two women sang the red face and the other sang the bad face, and they understood the CPU as a play. It's a pity that Zhang Yi came back from rebirth, and he has seen through their shameless faces long ago. Facing Lin Caning's CPU, he just replied "oh" lightly, then threw the phone aside and ignored her. When Lin Caning saw the word "oh," she was immediately annoyed. "Oh? What do you mean by "oh"? I've been telling you for a long time, is this your attitude? Hurry up and bring me the food. I also want to eat steak and ao long." Lin Caning is a gourmet eater. She hasn't eaten anything good in the past 2 days, and seeing Zhang Yi eating a big meal makes her drool. Originally, he wanted to use Fang Yuqing's name to trick Zhang Yi into sending her all the delicious food. But the development of things was completely opposite to her expectation. The word "oh" almost broke her defenses. Could it be that he is no longer interested in Yuqing? No, absolutely impossible. Lin Caning recalled Zhang Yi's hospitality to Fang Yuqing in the past few years, and immediately shook her head. He must have just had a temporary brain convulsion. Lin Caning was angry in her heart, so she went to find Fang Yuqing and talked about it in a more eloquent manner. Of course, She told Fang Yuqing that she was looking for Zhang Yi to ask for supplies for her. Fang Yuqing had a cold face, and said coldly, "HMPH, who is Zhang Yi? Do I know him? Don't mention him in front of me in the future." Now that Zhang Yi wants to be her licking dog again, he has to apologize for what happened in the past few days, and then ask her to forgive him at a huge price. Lin Canning poked Fang Yuqing, "This Zhang Yi is not enlightened. Don't you have other licking dogs?" In their community, there are many colleagues who work in the warehouse. Among them were Fang Yuqing's other suitors, such as Zhou Peng, who liked her the most. Fang Yuqing naturally knew who Lin Canning was talking about. She curled her lips in disdain, that Zhou Peng wasn't even her spare tire. Although he used to work at Walmart, Zhou Peng didn't even own a house in Xianhe City, and he still rents a house. Fang Yuqing just used him to take advantage of him, and she didn't like him at all. Lin Canning persuaded, "It's so cold outside now, and it's snowing so much. We can't go out to buy things. Why don't we use him first and let him do things for us?" Fang Yuqing's eyes wandered for a while, and she felt that what Lin Canning said was indeed reasonable. So she sent a message to Zhou Peng. Unexpectedly, in less than 5 minutes, Zhou Peng rushed over and brought a bag of food. After all, they work in the Walmart warehouse, and they would take home some discounted goods on weekdays. So there will naturally be some inventory at home. When Fang Yuqing said a word, Zhou Peng felt as if he had been beaten into chicken blood, and specially picked out good things and sent them to her. Moreover, Zhou Peng patted his chest and assured him, "Yuqing, what you want me to do, you only need one sentence. You know, for you, I can do anything." Fang Yuqing gave Zhou Peng a rare smile. "Thank you, Zhou Peng. You are so kind." She sent Zhou Peng away with a few sweet words. Then when he returned to the house, he immediately changed his face. "TCH, how dare you think about me like a bear? In your next life?" In the whole building, the atmosphere has gradually become strange. Extremely low temperature, even if the air conditioner is turned on all the time, the temperature in the house is below zero. This made the southerners in Xianhe City unable to adapt at all. And they don't have the habit of hoarding supplies, and the 2 days of freezing have already bottomed out the refrigerators of each family. Although Aunt Lin is still advocating that it's okay, the snowstorm will pass soon. But everyone has their own concerns. But Zhang Yi saw all this, and felt very happy in his heart. In the doomsday, all his preparations were extremely adequate, and his life was even more comfortable than before the doomsday. He is like an outsider, quietly watching the big drama outside. After Chen Zhanghao and his younger brother were taught a lesson by Zhang Yi, they did not continue to trouble Zhang Yi for the time being. They also know that Zhang Yi's family is not easy to break through. Moreover, one of Chen Zhanghao's legs was basically useless. If he couldn't go to the hospital, he would become permanently disabled in a few days. As for the other little Karamis, after being drenched in water, they all fell into a state of cold and fever. Without a way to keep warm, they dragged their sick bodies, and they probably didn't die from the shortage of food, but died of high fever first. At home, Zhang Yi has been playing games and watching chat groups to pass the time. When he's free, he also works out. Anyway, there are a lot of fitness equipment at home, all of which are international brands. Or, just take a look at various professional books that you have downloaded from the internet. Examples include the Barefoot Doctor's Manual and the Militia Training Manual. It is best to be prepared and master these professional knowledge if you don't need it in the future. In case of an emergency, it may save your life. It was snowing heavily outside, and the sky was shrouded in clouds, so that day and night were indistinguishable. On the morning of the third day, Zhang Yi got up from the bed and looked at the clock while hugging a delicious Baiyani Fang roast duck. "It's about time, and the fun is about to begin," Zhang Yi said lightly. And at this moment, the mobile phone chat group was completely blown up. Chapter 23: Water and Power Outages. 3 days after the end of the day, the fun officially began. Zhang Yi knew what would happen that day, so he didn't sleep all night, just waiting to see this good show. What happened is actually very simple. That is, the electricity in the entire Yulu community suddenly went off. And soon after, the water company was unable to supply water due to the chain reaction of power outages. There was also a problem with the water supply system, and every household was without water. All of this was within Zhang Yi's expectations. After all, at the beginning of the end, no one can predict how long this extremely low temperature disaster will last. Officials are still doing their best to support this snow disaster. But it wasn't until the time passed, only on the third day, that they discovered that this was not a problem that manpower could solve at all. In the cold weather, major hydroelectric power plants have been shut down one after another, and thermal power plants cannot continue to generate electricity because of the inability of personnel to work. After cities across the country run out of stored electricity, power outages are inevitable. At this time, I am afraid that only a small number of nuclear power plants are still operating. However, the generated electric energy is naturally all supplied to the official sector for use. Water and electricity cut off, which plunged the lives of ordinary people into darkness. Zhang Yi turned on the phone and saw that the messages of many chat groups were all 99 plus. Do you have electricity at home? Our house has no electricity. And the running water has also stopped. What's going on? Our house also has no water or electricity. In such a cold weather, the air conditioner can't be used at all, and there's no way to use the heater. How can we live this day? Why don't the authorities come out and take care of it at this time? If this continues, I'm afraid people will freeze to death. Zhang Yi silently shook his head. At this time, the official has no time to take care of everyone. If you want to survive, you can only rely on yourself. He also knows that the doomsday will only come in a real sense starting from today. After losing the electricity and food in modern society, human beings will also fall into mass death. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi glanced at his home with lingering fear. When he saw that it was as warm as spring, his house was as safe as a copper hoop and an iron bucket, and there were supplies that could not be seen at a glance in a different space, a steady warmth surged in his heart. The group of owners in the community was also full of nervous complaints at this time. When will this snow fall? The air conditioner can't be used, and the room is more than 30 degrees below zero. If this continues, people will really freeze to death. The water has also stopped. Why don't we let us drink snow water? Our family doesn't have much to eat, and the door is closed due to heavy snow and we can't go to the supermarket. But what should we do? Someone started. Aunt Aitlin. Aunt Lin, didn't you say you were fine before? That's right, I just listened to your words, so I didn't go out to buy supplies. How to solve it now? When will the higher-ups come to rescue us? Tell me a word. Facing the questioning from her neighbors, Aunt Lin was filled with anxiety and panic. At this time, she was more afraid than her neighbors. Owners don't know how to save them from above. But Aunt Lin has already got some news in advance through the neighborhood committee. Blizzard is falling all over the world now. It is said that it is a rare snow disaster in hundreds of thousands of years. Maybe, we have ushered in another mass extinction, which is the end of the world. Although the government is trying its best to support it, it is impossible for our country's population of more than 1 billion to take care of it. Several major cities in China have already fallen. If we want to survive in the future, we can only rely on ourselves. We must stock up on more supplies, especially food and energy for heating. I have already started going door to door asking for supplies, in the name of the neighborhood committee. Isn't it harmful to do this? Harmful? If I don't do that, our family will freeze to death and starve to death for at most 3 days. I can't care about that anymore. I don't know how many people will die in this snow disaster. I can only take care of myself and my family first. Yes, while we still have some influence, hurry up and get more supplies. At this time, survival is the most important thing. Aunt Lin stared at the news in the neighborhood committee group, trembling violently. Although the indoor temperature has reached more than -30 degrees, cold sweat is still streaming down her forehead. She was lying on the bed, covered with 3 thick layers of quilt, which made her almost out of breath, but she didn't dare to lift it. Because the room is like an ice cellar at this moment. At this time, her grandson Xiaohu asked under the blanket, "Grandma, why is it so cold outside? When will Mom and Dad come back?" Aunt Lin looked at her little grandson, and her heart sank. She just chatted with her son and daughter-in-law today. They all work in other places, and now they are trapped in a rented house, and the situation is not much better than theirs. I must protect our mother and we must survive. Aunt Lin bit her lips tightly, a fierce look flashed in her eyes. Xiaohu, it's okay. Mom and Dad will be back in a while. After comforting Xiaohu, Aunt Lin picked up her mobile phone and began to speak in the owner group. Everyone, the disaster is only temporary. It's so cold outside that it's not surprising that water and electricity are cut off. Don't worry, there are already staff working on repairs. The official has issued a notice. In this critical time, Our neighborhood committee will conduct unified management of the owners of the community. I hope everyone will cooperate with our work. If anyone does not cooperate, it will cause serious consequences. We will ask the police to arrest and interrogate afterwards. Antlin's words were extremely serious. These words caused strong dissatisfaction among the owners. They also did not expect that at this time, the neighborhood committee not only did not explain their ineffective work. Instead, they intimidated the owners. However, everyone was also a little scared in their hearts, and no one dared to speak out against it. Zhang Yi took the mobile phone and looked at the news of Antlin in the mobile phone. He raised his eyebrows and let out a sneer. Of course he knew that Antlin was lying. In her previous life, she used this despicable method to defraud others of a lot of supplies. But he didn't intend to expose Antlin's tricks. Anyway, whether the other neighbors are dead or alive, what does it matter to him? Zhang Yi turned on the TV and continued to play his game. No water, no electricity? It doesn't matter, he stores a large number of spare batteries in his warehouse, as well as engines, fuel oil, and solid alcohol. As for water, he has stockpiled 500 tons of tap water alone, not to mention tens of thousands of tons of mineral water and beverages in the warehouse. And when necessary, he can also get water by melting snow. In short, whether it is fresh water or energy, he has no shortage at all. Chapter 24 Antlin Threat. Zhang Yi played games while eating imported snacks, and lived a life of joy. The entire Cheyenne city, or more than 99% of the world, is in a state of water and power outages. The problem of water cutoff is a little easier to solve. Those who can't stand it can go out to dig snow to get water. But the power outage, this is the most unbearable thing. The bodies of modern people are very delicate. Letting them live in the low temperature of tens of degrees below zero will kill them. Zhang Yi's neighbors wailed in the homeowners group. Fear made them choose to hug together to keep warm at this time, hoping that someone could bring them a glimmer of hope. Chen's Henghao, whose leg was broken by Zhang Yi before, dragged his broken leg and was almost frozen to death at home. He was injured himself, and he had to live under extremely low temperatures, which caused double damage to him. And his little Karamis were even worse. Although Zhang Yi just showered them all over with a water hose. But at this temperature, there is no means of heating at all. The indoor temperature gradually approached the outdoor temperature, reaching -50 or 60 degrees. Several people started to have a high fever, the lowest temperature reached 39 degrees, and several others went up to 40 degrees. Since they did not have the awareness of preparing medicine, they did not prepare ibuprofen at home. And in this weather, it is even more impossible for them to go out to buy medicine. Therefore, they can only choose to carry it hard. That's why Zhang Yi didn't shoot them at that time. Letting them freeze to death in daily despair is much more refreshing than killing them directly. Zhang Yi was sitting on the carpet, playing games with concentration. It was freezing cold outside, and the howling north wind was mixed with heavy snow. The room is 27 degrees, brightly lit, no worries about food and drink. Food and entertainment are all available. If you have to say something shortcoming, it is probably the lack of a woman to accompany Zhang Yi. But Zhang Yi is not the kind of idiot with a sperm on his head. He has already suffered from women in his previous life, but now he absolutely puts his own safety and quality of life as the first priority. He couldn't let anyone into his safe house unless it was absolutely safe. In the last days, the human heart is absolutely immeasurable. He once saw with his own eyes that a woman smashed her husband to death for a pack of instant noodles. At this moment, Zhang Yi's cell phone lit up again. He took it over with great interest and found that Antlin was the owner of 8 in the owner group. Because of the current blizzard, it has had a huge impact on everyone's life. According to official notices, the snow will continue for a short period of time. In order for everyone to tide over the difficulties together, everyone can live with dignity when the conditions are difficult. So from now on, the neighborhood committee will collect the materials on hand from every household and distribute them uniformly. This is an official order, please cooperate with each other. Otherwise, if anyone is selfish and disobeys the organization's arrangement, they will be liquidated by the organization afterwards. Don't think that you are very capable and oppose our organization. Remember, your family has its own weaknesses. Zhang Yi sneered. It's the same routine as in the previous life. As a member of the neighborhood committee, Antlin has little power. But she still has more information channels than ordinary people. She must have known that the end of the world is coming, and the government has come to a standstill in Cheyenne City. That's why I want to use coaxing and intimidation to get everyone to give her the supplies in their hands. But Aunt Lin's method is really not smart enough. After all, she's just an old woman of middle school level. In fact, smart people can immediately see that there is something wrong with what she said. Even if the government conducts unified regulation, it is impossible to issue such an order. However, there are more than 50 families living in their building, and there will always be some timid ones who obey Aunt Lin's words out of fear. Zhang Yi didn't intend to take care of this matter, he just wanted to see the excitement. Sure enough, this time, due to Aunt Lin's tough tone of confiscating the supplies of each household, some people were finally cornered. Wang Min, who lives on the 15th floor, is also Zhang Yi's colleague. As a thrifty housewife, she often brings things home from the warehouse. The neighbors know this. Aunt Lin wants to collect supplies from various families, and their family must not be able to escape. Wang Min said, now that the door is closed due to heavy snow, there is no way to go out. There is not enough food for each household. You still have to collect it and distribute it uniformly. Is it plausible? Another owner named Sun Hicheo also said, everyone's life is hard, and it's not easy to save some food. You still have to confiscate it, which is too much? Aunt Lin gritted her teeth and pressed the voice button hard with her fingers. I've said it before, now is an extraordinary moment, and of course extraordinary means must be used. The snow disaster will pass soon, you don't have to worry. Just ask everyone to redistribute the supplies. At this time, many people have nothing to eat. Are you so selfish? Don't think too much about your neighbors. Some people have stockpiled supplies in their homes, so naturally some people lack supplies in their homes. So those who lack supplies at home naturally stand up to support Aunt Lin. That's right, we are all neighbors, what's wrong with helping each other at this time? Isn't it just some food and drink? It's not like everyone can't afford it on weekdays, it's just that the situation is special these 2 days. This is an organizational decision. If you don't abide by it, not everyone can bear the consequences. In the WeChat group, 2 groups of people started arguing. Zhang Yi didn't say a word, neither did Bai Lianhu, Fang Yuqing and Lin Kaining. Because they still have a lot of supplies in their home. But with their personalities, it is impossible to hand them over even if they are killed. Zhang Yi's idea of wanting to watch a play was shattered soon after. Although he didn't speak, Aunt Lin took the initiative to send him a private message. Xiao Zhang, you work in the warehouse. You must have a lot of food and drink at home on weekdays, right? I still remember that last time you bought 3 big cars. Now that everyone is in trouble, it's time for you to show your energy. Don't worry, we will definitely return it to you once the snow disaster is over. Everyone will still miss you. Aunt Lin first created momentum in the WeChat group, causing some timid people to panic. Then start breaking through one by one. As long as the family can be fooled, they can get some supplies, which can make her and her grandson live a few more days. And Zhang Yi, the warehouse supervisor of Walmart, was also targeted by Aunt Lin. Chapter 25. Zhang Yi sneered. In his last life, he miscalculated the severity of the snow disaster. Thinking of being able to sell the neighbors a favor, he took out some of the supplies he had hoarded. But the result? Instead of being appreciated by his neighbors, he made people think that he still had a lot of supplies at home. The end result was that he was killed by breaking the door and was used as rations. It can be said that this old woman surnamed Lin was also involved in her death in the previous life. The corner of his mouth raised, and he sent a voice lazily. That's great, our family has finished eating. Aunt Lin, you have collected the supplies by then, and I will share some trouble with you. Aunt Lin was so angry that she cursed on the spot on the room. Bah! Who are you lying to? Your family must have a lot of stuff. HMPH, after working in the warehouse for so many years, I don't believe that your hands and feet are clean. The reason why she is so sure is that Zhang Yi used to help neighbors buy discounted goods handled by Walmart warehouses. For example, some goods with damaged packaging and expired food will be sold at very low prices. As an internal employee, all have the right to purchase first. Sometimes, the warehouse also sends them out as employee benefits. Aunt Lin's face was ashen, she gritted her teeth, and still refused to give up. She recognized that Zhang Yi was a big fish. As long as Zhang Yi's mouth could be pried open, the 2 of them could get a lot of supplies, and at least they could live for another week. Aunt Lin took a deep breath, and said in a gentle and stern tone as much as possible, Xiao Zhang, don't joke with Auntie. Everyone knows that you are the supervisor of the Walmart warehouse. Is there any shortage of food and drink at home? This time it is an order from the organization, you must obey it. You have made contributions to everyone, and everyone in the organization will remember you well. Be obedient, bring all the things at home to the end, and take the lead. Zhang Yi picked up a toothpick to pick his teeth. For lunch, he ate roast leg of lamb, which was a bit clogged. He said in a lazy tone, I'm not lying to you. My family has eaten everything. These days, the landlord's family has no food left. Aunt Lin, give me a few packs of instant noodles. As a member of the neighborhood committee, you have to take the lead and show your energy. Zhang Yi said ironically. Seeing Zhang Yi's oil and salt not getting in, Aunt Lin knew that it was too late to be soft. She emphasized her tone, and her voice became low. Zhang Yi, I can't talk to you properly, can I? Do you think I'm speaking to you personally? I'm representing an organization. If you refuse to hand over the materials in your hand, you are fighting against the organization. I will definitely deal with you later. Zhang Yi sneered. Pooh. Still representing the organization? You are really holding a chicken feather as an arrow. It's just an officer of a neighborhood committee, let alone a civil servant. You're not even a career editor. It's enough to coax those old men and old ladies on weekdays, and you're still pretending to be garlic with me here, aren't you a sand dollar? You can do whatever you want, I'll be waiting for you at home. Zhang Yi ruthlessly exposed Aunt Lin's true face. The staff of the neighborhood committees are just social workers, they have no establishment at all, let alone civil servants. Moreover, Aunt Lin is just an errant officer in their neighborhood committee, not even a small leader. Of course, even if she is a high-ranking official, Zhang Yi will not ignore her at this time. After scolding Aunt Lin, Zhang Yi hung up the phone decisively, and blocked her. Because this kind of shrew old woman likes to swear, he doesn't have the time to talk to her. His operation nearly exploded Aunt Lin's lungs. This Zhang Yi opposed her again and again, pressing her face to the ground and rubbing her face crazily. How can she, who claims to be the leader of the community, bear this? Zhang Yi, you damn thing. I really want to kill you. Aunt Lin yelled angrily. But she can only scold a few words, in fact, she can't protect herself now, and it is impossible to really do anything to Zhang Yi. She wanted to kick Zhang Yi out of the owner chat group. But after thinking about it, it seemed that doing so would not do any harm to Zhang Yi. She wanted to call on everyone in the group to condemn Zhang Yi collectively. But in that way, everyone will know that Zhang Yi refuses to hand over the supplies. If everyone followed suit, she would not be able to cheat. No matter what, she couldn't do anything to Zhang Yi at this time. The more Aunt Lin thought about it, the angrier she became, and the more she thought about it, the more uncomfortable she became. But she had no choice but to swallow the sulking breath forcefully. For her now, the most urgent task is to deceive others. Be sure to cheat them of all their supplies before they wake up. In the next 2 days, Aunt Lin coaxed and frightened her, and she actually got some supplies from several families. But not everyone is a fool. In the last days, everyone's priority must be how to live with themselves and their families. Some people chose to treat Aunt Lin coldly. There are also some who are more aggressive, and they directly scolded Aunt Lin who came to ask for supplies. As for Chen's Hang Hao and Su Hao, who are not easy to mess with, she doesn't even have the courage to come to the door. These things, Zhang Yi can see clearly through the monitoring probe. But he should have fun and eat, so naturally there is no need to meddle in other people's business. And it has been the 5th day since the ice and snowstorm came. Normal people will only store food for 3 to 5 days. On their side, because some people work in the big warehouse, there are a little more supplies at home. But due to the severe low temperature, fuel and food are needed for heating, so the materials are consumed faster. In the past few days, a hostility has gradually begun to appear in the chat group. The owner, who was honest at the beginning and waited for the official organization to rescue him, also changed his mentality due to the lack of energy for heating and food. Especially those people who were coaxed and deceived by Aunt Lin to take away the supplies, finally couldn't help asking Aunt Lin in the group how to distribute the supplies after they were taken away. At 25 number 1 unit 1502 Lin Chengxia, Aunt Lin, will the supplies you agreed to be distributed after they are taken away? Our family has finished eating. It's been 2 days, please bring us some. That's right, we agreed to distribute them uniformly so that everyone can have something to eat. The owners all yelled, including those who hadn't brought anything out before, and they also hoped to take the opportunity to get a share. Aunt Lin seemed to have disappeared without any answer. Of course she could see the news, but at this time she had no intention of handing over the supplies. In the whole building, only she and Zhang Yi really knew what happened. The outside has fallen into a state of chaos. Only with supplies can we survive, otherwise we can only wait for death. She hugged her grandson, curled up in the 5-layer quilt, and said with gritted teeth, "How can I give you back the supplies that I have cheated so hard?" End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.